Hey now. How's it going, guys?
Hey guys. Well, we've got the similar attire on.
Yep. Common theme.
We've all
You
got
got the
something like
5150 shirt.
We're all got the
Something
common
like
thing.
that.
How we doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a pleasure.
Excellent.
It's a pleasure to catch up with you guys. Good to see that we've been keeping in touch on various social media platforms over the last couple of weeks in anticipation for this show. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get some people jumping on board. We'll give them a bit of time, before they jump on and just have a bit of a chat and a shout out. So what have you been up to, Brad and Kurt?
Kurt? I
I know you guys have been up to a lot. I was telling Andrew earlier in the green room, I went snow skiing on Monday. First time I've been in 5 years, and today is the first day that I've been able to walk normal. We started at 8 o'clock, and we immediately got on the lift and went up the hill and down and up the hill and down and we had like a 30-minute break for lunch. I had a burrito and a beer, and then about 2:30 or 3 in the afternoon, my legs were rubber, and we were done. So that's about all I've been up to. I know, Andrew, you've been on vacation, and how about you, Brad?
Well, I've just been watching Andrew on vacation being extremely jealous while I've been working my guts out. Slaving to the grind, as you do.
Yep. We're eating like bums, and he's eating like a king with the ocean at his back and palm trees shading his campsite.
Yeah, he's been walking along those sandy beaches with his, just the breeze blowing, the ocean wind, enjoying the sun, while I'm, slaving it away at my job. And I'm sure Kurt is probably the same. Oh, he's been skiing, but yeah.
I went skiing one day, but when I take the day off, I got to work extra to make up for it the rest of the week. But I know, Andrew, no clock for 10 days? No clock?
No clock, brother. No clock. No clock.
Yeah.
That's nice. You know what I call that? Defragging your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
It's been about 8 years since I've done something like that.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
You're about due then.
Yeah, I think
Overdue.
so.
Yeah.
Overdue. Overdone, brother.
Overdone, overcooked. Yep.
There's something about not having to get the mail, take the garbage out, vacuum, feed the dog, do all those things. If you can just get away for 5 days and not have those daily grind, man, it's nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's, I don't want to use this word because it's been used in political connotations, but it's a good reset.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
Defrag. I like the defrag. But yeah. So look, I'm looking forward. I've got a couple of videos to show on the channel later. I've got a snip of Brad playing a Van Halen song that he's given us permission to play in preparation for a gig that you've got tonight. So we'll just wait for another couple of minutes. We've got 7 people watching us, guys. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that gig, Brad, before we get into the show?
Yeah, sure. I play in a cover band, 80s tribute band, actually, that we cover a lot of stuff. Van Halen's one of those bands we cover, obviously the hits. So, it's great to be able to, do those songs. I mean, I'm not, ever going to claim that I can do Eddie Van Halen like Eddie Van Halen can. I do my version of Eddie Van Halen, but I try and keep them as close as I can to, that I can humanly pull them off. So, but yeah, it's just a private function tonight, so it's a small crowd. and that's a small lineup of the band, which is usually 6-piece band is down
Wow.
a small lineup tonight. So yeah, but yeah, I'm looking forward. This is my first time actually under the lights and on stage since April last year or March last year.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought the upload that you did on Instagram was fantastic. So I
Thanks,
look
mate.
forward to sharing that later on with some of the viewers. So we've got 8 people watching us. We've got Ellen in the chat saying hi. So thank you, Ellen. Ellen is becoming a very, very, very good friend of the channel. We appreciate your support. Kurt, Brad and I love being here, and we love talking about things that we love talking about, which is fantastic. And the fact that people are even interested in hanging out with us is even more humbling. So, thank you. If you guys haven't checked out Brad's channel or his Instagram account, if you have a look there on the bottom, screening across the bottom, that's how you'll get hold of Brad. He is always on social media and on Instagram and would appreciate any support or any follows. Check Kurt out too. Kurt's on there. Kurt 5150, he's on there contributing a lot too. And I'm mumbling along on Instagram. So
Along with your dog.
yeah, bumbling along.
I could, your Instagram lives and your Facebook lives that you were doing, I could hear the breeze like going through your beard and just like you were just enjoying yourself. And I'm like, you bastard.
Yeah, the wind going through Andrew's beard sounds like a Volkswagen Bug going 30 miles an hour.
Oh my God. We got Harry. We got Harry in the chat. Hey, Harry.
Welcome, Harry.
Harry the prick.
Yeah. I'm not going to say that because that doesn't sound good. Even though he's calling himself that, I'm not going to say it. Oh my gosh. Hey, I'm looking forward to this show, and I think the fact that you guys especially have been drumming up support for it is unbelievable. And if I can just give a bow and a clap to you two guys for the awesome plug-in that you've been doing for the channel and for the shows. It's fantastic. We've got Teresa in here saying hi. So thank you, Teresa. She's a follower of Brad on Instagram. So thank you for following us on this channel, Teresa. It's fantastic. Share our channel, Teresa, with your friends in Brazil. We would appreciate getting more Brazilians. If you can do that, Teresa, we'd be grateful.
Yeah,
Van Halen is very popular in Brazil. There's a lot of fans down there for sure.
The whole reason we share the stuff, Andrew, and Kurt's really driving it. He's really pushing. So, I kind of feel like I'm slackening off at times. I'm like, I better lift my game here, But no, it's for the growth of the channel, and it's we want to share what we're doing with you guys. We want you guys to be part of it, and the reason we share it so much is because we actually want you guys to contribute in the chat with the scoring and give us your opinions. So we want to grow the channel. Obviously, a lot of this will get viewed at a later date, which is great as well. But it's great to have you guys on board to be contributing to the show. It helps the flow of the show. It actually, it gives us topics that we might not have actually even thought of to cover within the show. So,
And leave questions too, because if you do leave questions, we will acknowledge those questions in the next show. I promise. If or any corrections. If there's a correction, if there's something that we've said that may not be completely 100%, be respectful and correct us, and we will acknowledge that too, because it's about sharing the information. And I'm just going to keep saying it. I'm so lucky and so grateful to have Brad and Kurt here contributing to these shows, because Brad and Kurt are Van Halen nuts, and they wear that badge with a bit of pride. So thank you. And they're even wearing T-shirts. Well, look, they've even got the T-shirts.
We were matching.
When?
We weren't matching. We coordinated back scene, behind the scenes through text. Kurt, make sure you wear this one. Yeah, all right, cool.
Okay.
Like a couple sophomore teenagers.
Okay, well, thanks for excluding me, guys, on that message. Okay, you're right. I feel left out now. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. I get it. I'll shut up then. I'll shut up and I'll pass the show over to you guys. All right, Kurt, the floor is yours, my friend. Give us the introduction to this album here, and if you have a look, you'll see the back screen for the show is again something that Kurt's done for the show. So the floor is yours, brother.
Right there.
Wow.
I have this framed because it is so important to my upbringing, my musical taste, and it's my absolute favorite album ever. And I've purchased hundreds and hundreds of albums in my lifetime, and I'll get to it a little bit later, but actually I'll just talk about it now. I was 9 years old when this album came out. So kind of think back, 9 years old. Brad, what were you doing?
I was around the same age bracket.
Okay.
Yeah, because I got into it. I'm not going to walk over your little intro, but I got into it, about a year or so. Like Dreams was being played on daily rotation on MTV here in Australia, and it was probably around 87 that I started getting into this. Okay. So yeah, I was 12, maybe 10, 11 or 12. Yeah.
Okay. But like in life, what were you doing at 11 or 12?
I was just getting into the thought of buying a record and things like that. I was just starting to get into music as such, as a really big part of my life. It overshadowed everything else that was going on. I was into sport or whatever, but it just sort of, took over. I was big into surfing and things like that. And, I was a waxhead and, I was a surfer and stuff like that. But music took over, which I'll talk about when I get to my one. But
okay.
So cool. Around the same age bracket, the same.
Awesome. So you were a towhead. You were a surfer, which the surfers I know, that's like a 7-day-a-week hobby, depending on where you live.
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing at 9 years old?
Me. Who, Andrew?
Yeah, Andrew. And what were you doing when you were 9?
Oh, mate, getting into trouble. Probably running around the backyard with my air rifle, shooting the neighbours' cats and dogs, and Mail, the girl that used to deliver the pamphlets. I shot her and got into trouble for that. So music, it was with an air rifle. It was an air rifle, guys. Come on.
Nothing's changed then, Andrew. Nothing's changed. We'll do it.
But music was I heard that. Music was the furthest thing from my mind when I was 9, Kurt and Brad. Yeah.
So my family was always I came from a music family. My grandfather played in a band that was in a couple of John Wayne's movies. So he was a Western musician, and he played guitar and sang for a few John Wayne movies, and tried to do that as a living, but was a tractor and truck mechanic to pay for my mom's upbringing. 2 older brothers. My oldest brother was in a band in high school, and they played 2 Van Halen songs So they played Ice Cream Man and Beautiful Girls in their set list. And so I kind of knew a little bit about Van Halen, but at first I actually thought that was their songs that they were singing about. But come to find out later, it was Van Halen. And then my second oldest brother, who's been on a couple of these shows, I'm not kidding you, his voice mixed between Brad Delp and Steve Perry. The guy's got an amazing voice. Like, you know, we would go to the karaoke bar and he'd bust out More Than a Feeling and hit every note and get, you know, the crowd would just cheer. So later on, I'll send you his link if you guys want to watch a couple of things he's done. But my oldest brother, Eric, has got an amazing voice. So I kind of always grew up in a music family, but in 84, 85, 86, I was listening to Michael Jackson, Huey Lewis, Paul McCartney, Give My Regards to Broad Street. That was a big album in my house. Billy Joel, Fleetwood Mac, and Supertramp. That was kind of like, I wouldn't say necessarily what we were allowed to listen to, but that's kind of what I listened to. And then on my 9th birthday in 86, my grandma got me a Sony Walkman with no tape. So I'm like, oh, sweet, a Walkman. Like, hey, let's go to the store and get a tape. And, you know, we didn't have a lot of money. And my oldest brother gave me 5150. He just gave it to me. He says, here, happy birthday. Listen to this. You'll love it.
Wow.
And I put the headphones on and I listened to that thing on my birthday night in bed. And I probably listened to it 3 times. I was blown away. So think about Michael Jackson, Huey Lewis, Paul McCartney, Billy Joel. I mean, that's like way far off from that type of music. So as soon as I got that tape, like, this was my band, you know, I listened to it nonstop. I mean, I would get on my bike and ride around the neighborhood and listen to that thing till the batteries ran out of my Walkman, you know, which was terrible back then when your batteries ran out because the music starts slowing down. And so that's when you knew that, you know, it was time to turn around and go home. But so I wore out 5150. And then that Christmas, my brother made a tape for me. And he gave me Van Halen 1 on one side and Van Halen 2 on the other because he knew how much I loved Van Halen. And it was like, that was it. I was a Van Halen fan, you know, from then on out. And I had experienced a little bit of Van Halen with seeing Jump in Panama and Hot for Teacher on MTV, but I didn't put the 2 and 2 together. I didn't realize that 5150 were the same guys that sang Hot for Teacher. I didn't know until I started working my way backwards, kind of like Brad did. So that's kind of how 5150 started in my life. And it's one of those albums that as soon as I got my license and was able to drive and I put a CD player in my truck, I went out and bought 5150 CD because I had to have one for my car. And then years later when, you know, I'm rebuilding some of my CD collection, you know, I had to get 5150 because that was like the staple. It's one of those albums that I can listen to from start to finish. Really, there's only one skippable song, which we'll get to at the very end if you guys, you know, want to read ahead to that. But absolutely my favorite. And I was telling Andrew, this was a hard one for me to rank because I would give them all 10s really if I could, but I had to be fair because, you know, Love Walks In isn't as good as Best of Both Worlds in my eyes. So I had to rank them somehow. So a little bit about the album. I know Brad's going to get into it. 1985, David Lee Roth left Van Halen. Eddie was actually on a break. He finished 1984 tour in September, October. And Valerie took Ed to a Patti Smythe concert and a show in LA. And Ed met Patti Smythe backstage, and they actually started jamming backstage, and Eddie and Val jumped on Patty Smythe's tour bus for 3 days and went to 2 other shows with Patty Smythe, and they became friends. And nonchalantly, Eddie asked Patty Smythe if she wanted to join Van Halen. And I think more than anything, she was flattered to the fact that Eddie was inviting her to be in the band, and she kindly declined and said, I'm still finishing my tour. Me and my fiance are getting married this winter, and I love my band that I'm with. I just can't commit with you. So then April rolls around, and David Lee Roth quits the band. So a lot of people don't know, but Eddie asked Patty Smythe to join the band when David Lee Roth was still there. I just watched an interview with Patty Smythe today and kind of uncovered this. So Dave quits the band, and Eddie goes to New York and plays on the David Letterman show, which some of you Van Halen nuts have seen. And Patty Smythe comes to the Dave Letterman show to watch Eddie because he's now become friends with Valerie and Eddie. And after the David Letterman show, which we've all seen that Eddie plays on with Paul Schaefer Band, they all go to dinner. And Ed asks her in front of everyone, seriously, you need to join our band. Like, Dave left, and we're looking for a singer, and we love what you do. And she's thinking, all right, this is an opportunity of lifetime. She was pregnant at the time when he asked her, and she hadn't made that public. Her band was off tour, so she actually could have jumped in head first with Van Halen. But she lived in New York. Van Halen was in LA. She knew Eddie didn't get along with Al, and she knew that they were partiers and that sometimes things weren't the best, and she just didn't feel like she wanted to get in between that. And she later said if Ed would have asked her to do an album together, she probably would have done an album with her. She just didn't want to join the band. She couldn't see herself with Van Halen. So, of course, the Van Halen camp, after Patty Smythe saying no, Eddie asked her, hey, please don't tell anyone because we don't want this person that we picked for our band to know that they were second choice. So she kept it quiet for, 30-some years. So the Van Halen camp, of course, as we all know, they asked Ozzy, Dio, and then finally they selected Sammy Hagar. And as we all know, the future was a great choice. So picking Sammy Hagar, Sammy's first trip to 5150 Studios to record this album, he described the place as an old rundown bar that hadn't been cleaned in years. He said there were cigarette butts and ashes everywhere, beer cans everywhere, and he said it stunk. And it was just like, it was a nasty hellhole. And actually later, he said when he went back to do the Best Of album, when he got in that studio and he smelt that smell, it brought back good memories and brought back the juices flowing of, what was going on back in 1985. So it's their 7th studio album, first one with their new singer, Sammy Hagar. This album was 43 minutes and 2 seconds long, so it was their longest album to date. This album took 3.5 months to record. Of course, I think Van Halen probably would have used Ted Templeman. If you guys have read Ted Templeman's book, he was committed to David Lee Roth for the Eat 'Em and Smile album, so he couldn't do this album. And a lot of people think that there was a divide between Ted Templeman and the Van Halen camp, which there really wasn't. He just had committed to David Lee Roth. Both camps were with Warner Brothers, and he had to make a hard decision. Did you want to say something, Andrew?
I just want to ask you a question there, Brad. Kurt, sorry. So I've read Ted Templeton's book, and I'm still of the position that he did jump on board with David Lee Roth. He made that choice to follow David Lee Roth. So that's not quite true, Kurt.
Well, I think they asked him if he would produce it, and he declined.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
So maybe I might have explained it a little bit different, but I know they asked him to do it, and he declined. And then Eddie told Don Landy, "Hey, if Ted can't do this album, we can do it ourselves."
Well, didn't Templeton and maybe the guys in the chat who might know, didn't they think that Van Halen was going to be a flop? Whatever version Van Halen was going to be after David Lee Roth, they thought the money was going to go with Diamond Dave. That's what I was under the impression to believe. And, you know, the record business is always going to go for the money, isn't it?
Right. I think that's a little... Sorry, I got a dog barking.
Cool.
So Eddie and Don Landy took the reins and wanted to produce this album themselves. And actually, Don Landy wanted Eddie to do a solo album. And Don Landy was against bringing Sam. He wanted Eddie to do a solo album. He wanted to call it 5150. He thought they had all these great songs in the bag, and he didn't want Sammy to come in and ruin it. And then, of course, later on we find out that Warner Brothers didn't want to give Van Halen Camp 100% of the reins, so they made him bring in a producer, and they picked Mick Jones. So few other things. Sammy, thought that the equipment was put together from a Cracker Jack box. He thought, give me a second, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Had you heard that? Sorry. Okay. Sorry, bro.
Can we talk about the way that that Sammy actually came into the band? Like they went to the same auto shop.
Yeah.
Which is
all right. Sorry, guys, real quick, and I'll turn it over to you, Brad. Sammy thought that the mixing equipment was shoddy, and he didn't think that the equipment was very good. But later he found out that Don Landy actually could make a miracle out of the equipment that they had in there, and he was a little hesitant at first. Didn't think that things were going to go very well, because he said it looked like the place was put together with duct tape and bubble gum. And one of the reasons why later Eddie parted ways with Don Landy is he thought Don controlled things too much, and Eddie didn't even know how to run much of the equipment because Don always did most of it. So, and there was actually an incident where Don Landy locked himself in the bathroom with the Masters because he was arguing with the band, and he threatened to burn him in the bathroom. And there was almost a 6-hour standoff until finally he came out and forgave the tapes. So, yeah, tons of facts about this album, but I don't want to take away from some of the stuff that Brad's probably going to share with you. But in their first one, I think there was tons of magic that came out of that process. And part of the rawness from what they were dealing with, I think, is what we hear on the album, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were just saying when you just had to duck off for that second, can you explain a little bit about how, because you've read Sammy's book as well, how Sammy and Eddie met each other through the auto mechanic. They basically had their cars in the same place, and Ed was pretty bummed out, and he was getting his car fixed, and he was down there. I think that there was a conversation prior to that. I heard Sammy talk about that their manager, I can't think of his name at a second.
Ed Leffer.
Yeah, called Sammy while he was out to dinner with his wife, and said, "Oh, did you hear the news that David Lee Roth left Van Halen?" And he goes, "Oh, no, I didn't hear it." But right, he sort of knew in the back of his mind. I think he even said to his ex-wife,
he told his wife, "Yeah,
they'll probably call me." And so it turned out that Ed had his car getting serviced in an automotive shop, and he goes,
Claudio.
and he goes, at Claudio's, and he goes, "Whose car is that?" And he goes, that's Sammy's. He goes, you should call Sammy, man, because, you know, Claudio's like, oh, why are you so bummed? And he's like, oh, my singer left the band, man. So that I always thought that story was gold. It's just like that. It was meant to happen, that sort of crossing paths thing. And, you know, that sometimes you just got to let go of things to let what's meant to happen happen. And I think that was just like written. It was written that way. It was meant to happen. And he called him, and I think Sammy had reservations, didn't he? But
he did. And, you know, if you read Ted Templeman's book in 76, when they were doing the first album, he thought about parting ways with David Lee Roth. And he actually mentioned to the band, hey, you guys should really look at Sammy Hagar. And, of course, Eddie was a big Montrose fan.
yeah.
So it's crazy how many times that their paths have crossed, and then how finally, you know, they came together and made magic. And over the last 2 weeks, all the videos I've watched about with Sammy on this album and kind of through the whole Van Halen era that he was with them, there was some amazing magic that happened. And I know there's a lot of David Lee Roth fans out there that believe that the band died when Dave left. But if you've read and heard the stuff that I've seen and read about Sammy Hagar and what they did with that band, it's very inspiring. And, you know, like Sammy says, goosebumps. So it's really cool. So,
yeah, I just want to echo a little bit of what you've said, Kurt. I think what's really interesting, and guys need to read. You know, we keep talking about that, don't we? And it's sad that a lot of Van Halen fans who are anti-Hagar guys don't read it or won't read it. But I think you need to get a fuller perspective. Now, he doesn't say some nice things about particular people during particular episodes during that historical process. And he doesn't say any nice things about Dave early on. You know, he calls him, you know, he says, you know, he wasn't a great singer. He acts like he's the coolest, hottest guy in the world, when to me he looks gay, and the guy is completely unbelievable. You know, so put that into context of what the band was with David Lee Roth. But I think the magic that you're talking about, Kurt, the magic comes from the fact that Sammy was, 8-10 years older than these guys in the Van Halens?
yep.
A true professional who had gone through the process of touring and knew what that was all about, knew the songwriting process, knew how that worked, was very ordered, very tidy, very structured in his personal life and in his professional life. He talks about the fact that when he went to meet Eddie, that they were living out of a suitcase and that his shirt was unironed, and you know, and he had all this money, he could have employed all these maids, but didn't really have that inner direction that people should have provided for him. And he talks about it too, you know, that Jan Van Halen would come across to the, you know, house or the studio, and they'd drink and smoke, and right from the word go, they included Sammy into the family unit. And I think that's the key here. So he gave them some structure, some kind of organization for that magic to happen, because I don't think it would have happened without Sammy.
Right. And then real quick, I'll turn it over to Brad. You got to remember too, Ted Templeman arranged the album or the song order on this album. So after they recorded it, they took it to Warner Brothers, and Ted arranged the song order. So there wasn't
I did not know that.
Yeah, there wasn't a big split up like people thought there was. So yeah, he arranged the songs for him. And actually Eddie took I think Why Can't This Be Love, he took to Ted's office before they were even finished with the album and played it for him.
Mm.
So Brad.
Yeah.
The 4 years.
Well, for me, 5150, I'll quickly talk about it. I think you covered most of it. which is really good. Thanks for that, Kurt. There's a few insights there that I didn't actually know as well, which is really cool. I always loved the story of how, which we spoke about just a second ago, how, Ed gave Sammy a call from the automotive shop. It's something that I just think, I believe in those sort of things. I think at times, where things are meant to happen, things happen for a reason. David Lee Roth leading the band, Sammy coming into it the way he did. It was meant to happen that way. For me, this record, on a personal note, is when I first got my CD player, the first albums I bought were with the Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
Appetite for Destruction, and this record. I bought those 3 CDs. Oh, and Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? I bought that as well. So I bought 4 CDs at once because I needed CDs for my house, because I always had cassettes. But, for example, this record here was, I was the same. I didn't realise through hearing Dreams that it wasn't actually the same singer, because I thought David Lee Roth, I knew of Jump, I knew of Panama, I knew the 1984 record, but I never really got into buying records or anything prior to that because I was too young. So, everything that I consumed was MTV or the radio or whatever it may be at the time. So when I actually bought this record, I bought it because I loved the song Dreams. The film clip didn't have the band in it, so I had no idea it wasn't David Lee Roth until I bought the record and I realised that it wasn't. And I actually thought, wow, this is really cool. This singer's got, and obviously putting the record on, the first song, which we'll get into, Good Enough, it just blew me away. But even to this day, I still think back to that moment when I hear the song Dreams. It gives me goosebumps. It's probably, the Carnal Knowledge record was the first actual record I went out to buy with my hard-earned cash that was released. I knew it was coming. I bought it at the time. But this record, I bought this one. I bought 1984 after this. And then I bought OUA 1, 2. And then I went backwards. But this record got me into Van Halen. Dreams got me into Van Halen. And for me, I was even listening to this, every time I listen to this in the last 2 weeks, or even longer, I think it's been, I still get goosebumps listening to that song. It sort of gives me a feeling. I don't know what it is. It uplifts me. It makes me emotionally high as well. And to write a song that does that to people is the dream for any musician, and to actually have gotten to that point. I don't know, everyone I speak to that loves Van Halen, whether they like Sammy or not, they love that song. Well, maybe I'm wrong, but everyone I've spoken to loves that song. And, I've listened to that many live versions of it now. I've done the YouTube thing over the last 2 weeks of watching everything I can see from that era. I watched Live Without a Net again. I've immersed myself in this record again, and the Carnal Knowledge record was always my favourite, but this is probably creeping back into my number 1 spot. My taste changed. My taste changed a lot, but for me, this record is timeless. And when we get into the songs, I'll talk about it. But there's a sense of energy, and you can hear how happy the band sound in the songs. And there's something to be said about that. There's a chemistry there. It works. For right or for wrong, whether you like Sammy or David Lee Roth, I think it's a damn good record, and I don't think people should diss it. I think it's one of those records that, every band wants to write a record this good. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. It doesn't matter what music you write. You want to write a record that's this good. So it's a really deep album for me, and I'll pass it over to Andrew because I will say this. I remember when I got my first car and I was driving along listening to this record, and I'd be going on surf trips and things like that, and it would just put me on a natural high. This record would just hype me up, make me become, and there was an energy with the way they wrote songs, their lyrical content, everything was all about, we'll get into it, but I'll pass it over to you, Andrew, because I'm sure you're scratching to get your little words in about this.
Man, I feel like look at this, we'd be twins.
So you just have to better it, Andrew, don't you? You just have to better it with the LP.
Look, I think what you guys have said is amazing, and it's wonderful, because that's what I like about the shows that we do. We offer our personal experiences around the album, and it gives other people an opportunity in the chat too to talk about their experiences with these albums, because that's what music's about, isn't it? It's about that time, and it's about maintaining some of those memories and building new memories on top of good music. And that's what this album is. I think you've hit the nail on the head, Brad. Who wouldn't want to produce an album like this? It's phenomenal. Now, I'm a little bit older than you guys, so I remember this album. I was a teenager. I was about 18, 19 when this album came out, and there was no social media back then, so we didn't get a lot of information about what was happening in American bands. So the first kind of news that we got that David Lee Roth had split from Van Halen is when he released Just a Gigolo, and that was riding high on the charts here in New Zealand for a while. And then a little bit after that, I'm listening to the radio at work, and I'm hearing this song, ding, ding, the first single. Oh gosh,
I Can't Be Loved.
Really? What? Yeah. Sorry. What? Yeah. So I'm listening to the song on Kiwi FM, which was the radio station that everyone listened to, and it was like Van Halen. So I'm sitting there at work hearing this song that and this whole music, and I'm going, wow, what is this? So I remember finishing work and then going into town and buying the cassette, and just like you, Kurt, just listening to this cassette for a week, 2 weeks, and then going to a party and then playing this cassette, and by the end of the night, everybody knew at least the chorus of Good Enough and Summer Nights, and it was just an album all of a sudden that all my friends were listening to. It was just everywhere, and isn't it good to know? And some old farts in the chat might even remember this too, that good music travelled the old-fashioned way. It wasn't on a trending list on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube, though, for hosting us. It wasn't on a trending list on Instagram, where someone said you had to listen to this. It was Kurt, your friend, telling you, or Brad, your mate, saying, check this out, or he's picking you up to go on a surf trip, and you're sitting in there and you're having a beer, and he's going, what's this? And this is Van Halen. Remember those old days? That's the way that I remember this album and this band from those classic memories. So, yeah, it's a masterpiece of an album.
I'll call it organic spread.
Organic spread.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Organic spread. It's a masterpiece. Right down to, and it included the words, the lyrics for us. Van Halen is, I remember talking to my friends saying, Van Halen is, and then we didn't get any of those videos that you've got now on YouTube. It was a long time before we saw these videos where they're talking about how they were tight as a band, and how some of the interviewers were always asking them about David Lee Roth, and clearly they were getting pissed off about those questions, because they wanted to concentrate on this version of the band. But they did answer, some of those answers that they gave on those interviews are revealing, you know, they felt more of a band when they recorded this, didn't they? They felt like this was truly a band effort.
Yeah, and Andrew, you make a good point. One, they barely finished the album before they went on tour. And one of the reasons why they didn't make any music videos is because they wanted the exposure, and they wanted everyone who was experiencing Van Halen, they wanted them to experience the album, and they wanted to experience the live version of the new band. And this was the one and only tour that they ever did where they played every song on the album.
Wow.
Other than Inside. So this is the first and only time that they ever played every song on the album other than Inside. No music videos. They did the Van Halen Unleash because they felt like they needed to combat some of the stuff that Dave was saying to the press about the band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
actual, you know, because Dave was in charge of all the videos, and I think the band was burnt out on videos, and they probably said, you know, let's have the music speak for itself. The cover, we didn't talk much about the cover, but that's actually Rick Valente, who is an ESPN bodybuilder. And the band originally wanted to call the album Best of Both Worlds, but they were afraid that it was going to be that the people were going to take it religiously. So they decided to go with 5150, which was actually Sammy's idea. And this image is actually representing that the band is so big and so powerful and so strong that it's going to take a bodybuilder to hold them up. And then, of course, you guys know on the inside of the album, the band breaks through, and they've actually conquered the bodybuilder by breaking out of the sphere. So that's kind of the meaning of the album cover and the back.
Where does the album cover, guys, sit with you as far as Van Halen album covers goes? Is it, you know, is it in your top 25%, or is it in your bottom?
Oh, yeah. I love the album cover. I reckon it's great.
It looks like Brad holding up that sphere.
It does not, mate. It does not. That's funny, Kurt. That's funny. I'll take that.
I had to get that in.
Hey, also, I just wanted to mention, like, with the, you know, the way that they started writing with Sammy is pretty well known. That they just went into the studio and he just started, you know, you've seen the interviews with Eddie and whatnot in the band, and they're talking about how the songs were written, and that they go jam, and Sammy would just start singing words and put the words in place, and they just, yeah, it was very, very natural, very, and they were blown away by Sammy. They were just like, wow, this guy can sing amazingly. And he's just coming up with words and, like, on the spot, coming up with things and melodies. And Sammy will talk openly about the fact that the energy he got from the band made him do that. It was like this, you know, two powerful forces meeting, and they managed to come up with these songs. I think it was 3 songs off the record, like in the first jam, pretty much. Like, the idea of them, the music was there obviously from the guys, but I think they come away, I think they jammed for, like, from my memory, it was all night. They just kept jamming, and they kept writing and recording, and then they went into pre-production and recorded pretty quickly. Yeah. So
yeah.
I think what you've hit the nail on the head there. I think what's really, really interesting about that, Brad, is that sometimes we got to remember this. You know, that a singer of a famous band that has a reputation, when he's with a guitar player or another musician, and he's scatting and he's trying to find, you know, something because a guy's playing something on the guitar, and the guitar player turns around and says to him, "Man, you can sing. You know, I haven't had that with the other guy, you know, because he couldn't sing like this. And he's not really singing, but he's singing notes matching Eddie's guitar playing. And it's like, holy cow. You know, Eddie said, man, you can sing. And he's going, oh, thanks. You know, one of the greatest guitar players in the world saying, wow, I can sing.
There was definitely a bounce of energy between them. I think the chemistry was really good. So I just wanted to mention that before we dive into the songs, because I think as we go into the songs, that's a really important part to acknowledge that they were just so creative. The flow happened almost immediately from my understanding. So, and that you know, that doesn't just naturally happen, guys. Like if for people who don't write songs or whatever, it's sometimes, you know, to work with other musicians, it's forced a lot of the time to get it right. And for that to just happen, that's like a match made in heaven. It's meant to be, you know.
So 3 things I want to say real quick. Prior to Sammy being there, Dave, if you've read his books or read Templeman's books or heard some of the interviews, Dave used to have to take home and write lyrics and come back the next day, or get in his car and drive and go grab a cheeseburger and fries and smoke a couple cigarettes to come up with the lyrics. And then he would come back and put it on tape, where Sammy did it naturally right there in the studio organically. The other thing is both Eddie and Al admitted that they didn't listen to any of the lyrics or singing that Dave did in the first 6 albums. And when Sammy came, they actually started paying attention to the lyrics, and they had never done that before. And then the last thing with Sammy, knowing that Eddie is a classically trained musician that plays the guitar like no one else on the earth at that point, was pretty humbling for him to stash his guitar away in the studio and live. Because if you know Sammy from the Montrose days and his solo artist days, he had a guitar in his hand majority of the time. And Sammy knew that his guitar didn't need to be there to complement what Eddie was doing. And he was humble enough to set that guitar down and just rely on his music, his singing, versus, dueling guitars.
Yeah, definitely. There was a natural flow of energy and the way that they wrote songs. Obviously, the melodies were just coming out. You know, Eddie would probably play a song idea and he'd probably come up with something pretty quickly. From what I'm understanding on the first record, it happened fairly organically, and really, because the energy was there, they were all happy. I think you can hear it in all the songs.
Right.
Sure. So, Andrew, are we going to dive into the songs, mate, or what are we going to do?
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good introduction to the album, guys. I think we've covered everything. So, Kurt,
there is one other.
Go ahead.
What's that?
I think, was it Warner that wanted them to consider changing the name to Van Hagar, and that's where that came from?
Good point. Yeah, good point. Good point.
Talk about
there were
that.
a couple of guys there. Yeah. But Sammy said no, didn't he? Sammy was the one that said no.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that until only about 4 or 5 years ago. That was. When did the book come out, Kurt? When did Red come out? Gosh, time flies. Was it 10 years ago?
10 years ago.
Well, they toured. 2004 was their last tour. 2011.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't know that until I read the book in 2011 that was actually a serious consideration.
So there you go.
So the first song on the album, it was obviously the first song I listened to in my headphones. And hello, baby. And also, some of you guys know that's Sammy's homage to Big Popper, right? Obviously, I had no idea what that song was. until I looked it up, and then I recognized the saying, but I'm not sure why he did that, and what the significance of him doing his tribute to Big Popper. So maybe you guys have the answer to that. But that song came out in 1959. Good Enough. Man, I give this a 9 out of 10, just because it was really the first official Van Halen song that I ever heard. Ed played this on his 1984 Kramer that now Wolfgang Van Halen has. And he actually took the low E string off and put on an A bass string. And what's funny is I've listened to a few podcasts and watched a few different YouTube shows over the last couple of weeks, and there were rumors that he put a piano string on his guitar to get that song and tuned it down, but it was actually, you hear it from Eddie's mouth, that it was a low A bass string, and he actually had to file the nut and the Floyd Rosado to cram that thing in there. And as we know, old Rob Johnson did one himself, and he actually had to file it out to fit that A bass string in there. So, of course, we know Rob, attention to detail on all of his guitars. If Eddie did it, Rob did it, right? Right, Andrew? So Eddie used the 84 on this song. This song originated the riff to it in the 1983 Wildlife movie. Let's see. And it's a slower down version. So if you get on YouTube and listen to the Wildlife soundtrack, it's an instrumental. It's called Nearly Good Enough, and it's actually really slowed down. It's kind of hard for me to listen to because I'm used to Alex with those drum beats, just keeping up with everything. I think Alex, and we really didn't get into it on this album, but Alex is a huge part of this album. And of course, they struggled with the drum setup in 5150 Studios. They didn't have enough room for a full drum set, so that's where the Simmons bass kit came in. And actually in the 80s, the Simmons kit were pretty common. So that little piece kind of dates this album, but to me, I wouldn't want it any other way. I like the way it sounds. I think it's amazing. The main riff, rumor has it that this was one of the 4 songs that the band originally produced with Dave. And according to Michael Anthony, him and Eddie are the only ones that have the demo tape of Dave singing to this song. So that would be cool to maybe hear that someday. The guitar on this, on Good Enough, on the album version, was done in one take from Eddie. I don't know if you knew that or not, Brad, but that's pretty amazing. Especially being a musician, to play that song in one take that blows my mind. First and only take. So either he had been playing that riff for a long time, or he was just that dialed. And then as I turn it over to you, the end of this song, one thing I noticed about this album is every song has a climax, and then as it tapers off to finish, it almost goes back up again and has a really climactic ending to every song, whether it be with the drums and the ending guitar riff or Eddie with his tapping. But to start off with Good Enough, like, just after that song's over, you want more. That's what I liked about it. And to parlay into Why Can't This Be Love, I thought was a mistake. They probably should have put that song maybe a little bit further. Could you imagine Good Enough and then Get Up right after that?
Oh, I don't know. Actually, it might be too much.
So, yeah, that's Good Enough, 9 out of 10.
Wow. I learned a little bit from that, so that's great. Thanks, Kurt.
Yep.
For me, Good Enough, straight from the Hello Baby, it feels like a complete rebirth. There's an amazing energy. The squeal into the song from that section there, it's just a real head nodding beat. Sammy's in fine vocal form and sings amazingly, in my opinion. The harmonies are sensational. The cheeky lyrics matches the cheeky guitar playing from Eddie. I've written that down. There was something going on. Always been there with Ed's playing. It's always been fairly cheeky in my eyes. He's always had a bit of a cheekiness to his playing, but I know Dave Lee Roth was he captured that, but I think Sammy played off it a lot more, if that makes sense. He actually played off that cheekiness a little bit more. The middle bridge section, the slamming double time into the lead break. From Ed, it highlights why he's the king, in my opinion. He's just phenomenal. He's just the king on guitar. And the breakdown section, it comes across a little bit like AC/DC to me. So that Malcolm Young thing creeps back in, the part where it goes, "Hey waitress," that section there. There's a little bit AC/DC vibe there. Look, to me, I love the song. And I love the way they do the ending. I mean, it's very much like a stage ending, like they've actually finished it on stage. And I love it when bands do that. I actually prefer that than a fade out. I mean, I know why bands fade out, and I understand that. But I love hearing a rock ending, a big cock rock ending. And they were the kings at it, with the big squeals and the big, like the Alex slamming the drums all the way through the song. Bass, drums, guitars. Interesting to hear Ed did that in one take, but I have to be honest, I always assumed Ed probably did a lot of his stuff in one take anyway. So, he probably did 2 or 3 takes, picked one, and that would be it. I wouldn't think he would go dropping things in and out too much like a lot of musos do. I gave it 10 out of 10, and I love the wah at the end. That the wow, that's Sammy does right at the end there. It's like a total breath of fresh air to hear, especially now that I know, this was their first record with Sammy, and I've obviously done my homework and that. It's an amazing opening track.
Yep.
Andrew.
And Alan Garber, the master, a man of my own heart, see his comment in the chat about Eddie using a .60 gauge A bass string tuned down to A on the 6th string of the 84 Kramer. The saddle nut and tuning post had to be reamed up to accommodate the thickness of the string. Pretty much close to what I said, but you're spot on there, Garber.
Yeah, awesome. So just a quick shout out to the guys in the chat before I jump in. So thanks, Alan, for joining us. Always appreciate you. You have an open invitation to join us at any stage, Alan. So keep in touch. James, thank you for the kind words that you've said, James, earlier. We appreciate that. And who else? Teresa, again, has been offering some good comments in the chat. Look, I love the song, guys. Right from that opening line, "Hello, baby," to the bang, that solid guitar sound. Absolutely no question within 10 seconds that you are listening to a different band. The guitar tone was just so different from anything else that we'd listened to in Van Halen. So it was clear, wasn't it? Clear that you were going to be listening to something completely different. And I mean that nicely, guys. Completely different from everything else that they'd done. And we'd already spoken about this in the introduction to the show. So I won't talk about that, but. Sammy's when he's saying, "Hey waitress," and you've got that rhythm guitar that Eddie's playing. It's just phenomenal. Dun, dun, dun. I love it. Then he cracks into that, the pyromaniac guitaring that we're familiar with. Look, it has to be a 10 out of 10 for me. It's a statement, and it is a statement for Van Halen with Sammy Hagar. Unbelievable song.
Do you think maybe that "Hello Baby" is like Sammy saying, "I'm here"?
I always thought I always thought it was a piss take towards David Lee Roth, because how David Lee Roth would go, would do stuff like, I can't remember off the top of my head, where David Lee Roth would say stuff like that. Hello, B. Yeah, that's something that David Lee Roth would say. So look, I don't know, and I just have to make it quite clear too, guys, that we love all versions of Van Halen. So we're talking about 5150, guys, and if anyone's watching the replay, we are respectful to all versions of Van Halen.
Oh, definitely.
David Lee Roth right here. And I know you guys are from New Zealand and Australia, but do you know what U.S. Prime Grade A stamp guaranteed means?
It's the number one piece of steak.
Oh, you got it. And do you know what Sammy's referring to when what the innuendo is?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing.
Are we a family show? Are we going to say it? Do we want to, just in case someone doesn't know, because we're into sharing information?
I'm just thinking, Andrew, back when you were hearing some of the lyrics that you like to listen to when you drink, just grease it up and bring on the heat.
Yeah.
Put on that grade A beef on the griddle and cut it with a fork.
There's no doubt. Absolutely no doubt what he was talking about.
Yeah, there's some good lyrics in here just looking at it. Then it's 3, 6, 9 and time. Like, I just loved that as a kid. And then Brad, actually, I wish I could have put your words to when you talked about the ending cock rock. Like, that's what I was trying to explain with the end of that song. Like, you worded it perfectly, for sure.
Yeah. Yes. What are we up to? Why can't this be love?
So why can't this be love? First single. This was actually, I believe, a pretty controversial release for the first single. Of course, when they took it into Mo Austin's office, he put up the #1 sign and said, "We got a #1 album here, and I smell money," he said. So the brass loved the choice of the first single. I can imagine with the style that Eddie was going through at the time, when they put this thing on tape, they were probably on cloud 9. It topped the charts at #3. Of course, in 1986, there were quite a few other singles out there that they were competing with. I don't really have any of that information on me right now, but Ed used his Obrium OB8 synthesizer on this song, which he used on a couple other ones along with his grand piano. The beginning reminded me when I was a kid of a helicopter. I'm sure that's probably the same with everyone else. I'm not sure how he got that sound, but I'm assuming it's with the synthesizer that he probably ran through a flanger maybe and got that sound. But it always reminded me of a helicopter when I was a kid, and it was cool in the headphones because it would go back and forth. With Hagar, this was his poetic version of telling a story about a man challenging his girlfriend or his lover to think why she loves him. I read that in an article that he said that if you dare a woman to think about why she loves you, she probably won't break up with you because she'll feel sorry for you if she does. So that's kind of what this song's about. When they recorded the song, Sammy asked Eddie, do you mind if I follow with your keyboard with my singing? And of course, to Eddie, that was a little bit new because they didn't do it with Dave on the last album. And Andrew, you kind of talked about Sammy followed along with Eddie on the keyboard. And I actually read too that Eddie wrote some of the riffs on keyboard, and then he also wrote some of the melodies and on the keyboard, and that's where Sam came up with some of the melodies because we all know that Eddie was a amazing musician, but some of the songs he had already had a guitar track down, and he would actually put what he thought the lyrics should be on keyboard, and then Sammy would add words to it. So I think they did some of that with this song. To me, this song's at 8 out of 10. Of course, it's never a skip. I think the other two keyboard songs on this album are better than this song, but 8 out of 10 is very respectable to me.
Why can't this be love for me? For me, it's, I've always loved this song. I love the way it comes in, like you said, like a helicopter. It's definitely that synth sound that Ed's captured on this is awesome. Great vocal delivery by Sammy. And this is a start for me of Sammy's lyrics based around love being one of the main reasons I love this era of Van Halen as well. You know, as well as having the cheeky, you know, sexually driven type material in there, and later more sort of spiritual type things as well. But I always really resonated with this era of Van Halen because the lyrical content and at least one or two songs per album were about love. So, you know, the old romantic inside of me sort of resonates with that. Maybe, I don't know, but so yeah, the catchy melody. What was that?
I said, you softy.
Yeah, can't help it. Can't help it, mate. Sucker for love. You know, what do you do? You know, catchy melody. The chorus is very anthem-like to me. Harmonies are great. Ed's solo is perfect for the song. I mean, it's not anything crazy. It sits in the song perfectly, and this is a great way to explain it. He's written a solo or put a solo in the song to suit it, so it's not sitting out too much. He didn't take the liberty of just putting a widdly diddly solo on this song because it didn't need it, and that proves to me that he did not feel the need to you know, push himself too hard on a song like this and just let the song breathe and be the song, which that is very admirable because that's the sign of a brilliant musician in my eyes. Well written song. You know, put it this way, I wish I could write a song this great, and I gave it 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Look, I'm just looking at my notes across here. I love the song, and it's interesting that you guys mentioned it having that keyboard effect and that helicopter starting sound, whatever's going on, that pinging that's going on. It's unbelievable because nothing like that was around in 1986. You know, this was their first single. They were playing this song on commercial radio here in New Zealand, and you know, Duran Duran and all these other electronic bands were around at the time, and there was nothing like this. And even then, Van Halen still can't get away from a keyboard sounding like a guitar. You know, it's that's the way I feel. Look, I love the song, and I can't understand why people give it a hard time because it's talking about love, you know. And we'll probably talk about this a little bit more when we do some of the David Lee Roth albums. I agree with you, Brad. It's a great song about love, and whatever version of love, you know, why can't this be love? Could be to a girl that you immediately want some attraction from, you know, but it could also be to an established person in a relationship that you know, so you can interpret that love thing any way you want. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. I think it's a sophisticated set of lyrics by Sammy, and I'm glad that you mentioned also, guys, you know, that Sammy can sing all these different songs about different things, you know, overtly and inovertly when it comes to human relationships. So, yeah, smart song, 9 out of 10, and it's never a skip.
Yep.
Hey, Warren.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Any questions?
You're on to the next one, brother. Hey, Lenny.
Get Up. As a kid, we didn't have the internet. I thought this was like you guys saw my little thing I made on Instagram with the Back to the Future tape. I thought that the Back to the Future tape was like a excerpt of this or part of this song. Because, I want to say we rented Back to the Future on, maybe I watched it again on cable network, so it wasn't something I could watch over and over and over and try to figure out what song it was. But as a kid, I thought Get Up was tied to the Back to the Future song, which actually wasn't. It was part of the Wildlife soundtrack. But think about in the movie, he's getting his dad up with the Eddie Van Halen tape. So come to find out it wasn't. But when I was younger, I kind of put the two and two together and wished that was it. But of course it wasn't. But as a 9-year-old kid listening to this song for the first time, I would say it was probably my first head-on experience with, I call Van Halen a hard rock band, but heavy metal. I remember, my older brother having Quiet Riot album, the guy with the mask. And like, I didn't even want to like pull that album out of the cover because it like scared me, that was like heavy metal to me. But Van Halen with Get Up, that was like my first experience of the heavy guitar, the heavy drum, the fast-paced song. And I loved it. I thought it was well put together, and following Eddie over the years, he not necessarily liked tricks, but when he found something he liked, he would almost wear it out and then move on to something else. And I think when he found that Steinberger GL2T, he loved the tricks that it could do with changing the pitch with the whammy bar. And of course, he used it a ton in this song, as well as Good Enough, which we really didn't talk much about. But when I think about the Steinberger, I think about Get Up. And to me, this is probably one of Alex Van Halen's best songs he's ever put on record, which is pretty bold when you think about Everybody Wants Some and Hot for Teacher, and some of the other songs done. But I think the beat that he puts on this song is just incredible. And then if you watch the Live Without a Net version, it seems faster to me versus what's on the album. And I love the background harmonies with Eddie and Michael. And of course, back to the Live Without a Net version, Michael Anthony takes these harmonies to 11 with Sammy. Just incredible. Like pitches that Sammy can't even hit, Michael was hitting live on stage. And the ending, it's kind of the same as Good Enough. I don't want it to end. And for me, this is a 9 out of 10, never a skip. And Get Up is one of my favorite songs. I love it.
Awesome. Get Up for me used to be my favorite song on this record. Sorry, Andrew, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to do a quick shout out, mate, before you gave your interpretation of the song. So can I just do that quickly? Hey, Kevin, thanks for joining us. John B, looks like we've been raided by the Johnny Bean Show, so we appreciate your support, guys. Susan, thank you. Metal Mike, we appreciate you guys jumping by. Who else is in here? If you guys haven't already subbed to our channel while you're here visiting us and hanging out with us, please hit that subscribe button. We'd appreciate it. And check out a feed that I'm going to show across the bottom, and that'll take you to Brad's channels. So thanks for that. Sorry, Brad.
No, real quick, before Brad gets going, there's the Steinberger guitar right there. Oh, there you go. So it's the headless guitar with the floating trans-trem bridge It was originally black, and then Eddie had someone paint the cover with the stripes, and then he put 5150 on it. But he started using this, I think, during the 1984 tour, and then like backstage, he didn't actually use it live, and then he used it on 3 or 4 songs on this album. So that's the Steinberger GL2T. And then give a shout out to Lenny Lou. She says, "Hey, Reverend Kurt, I'm not wearing my Reverend getup today, but I do have the books and the transcribes for the show with me."
Oh goodness, Reverend. When are we going to see Reverend Kurt?
I know I got to make a spot for Andrew to promote Reverend Kurt's fun facts and I can't remember what we were going to call it.
Oh, okay. Well, hey. While we've got a few people in the chat, so just hold on, guys. Just hold on.
Hold the phone.
I'm just gonna place. Hold on. I got this producer in my ear saying pull finger and do something. So hold on. So check this guy out. Check this guy out. He's not bad. Where is he? Where's this guy? Check him out. Wow. Hey, we'll probably get copyrighted for that, so never mind.
That was well worth it.
Oh goodness. I don't claim to ever be able to play like Eddie Van Halen. I can't. It's just I love the guy. Sort of going over the songs again for the gig I've got later today. It just made me feel like I was a teenager again. But yeah, thanks, Andrew. Thanks for that, buddy. You did get my approval, but I forgot about it. So yeah.
Hey, I wouldn't show anything that you guys didn't give me permission to show.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm a bit blushy and stuff now. I don't know what to think of that. So I'm expecting a lot of hate in the comments. Maybe I don't know. Well, let's leave it. Get Up for me, like this one definitely had a Hot for Teacher vibe. Definitely, I'm going to sort of mirror what Kurt said, especially on the drums. I love the sleazy. I call it sleazy guitar intro. I love that sleazy. Almost sounds like he's playing with a slide, even though he's not. To me, that's how I interpret it. The drums are full of energy. It takes off. It's like a steam train once the vocals and the bass hit. Sammy's singing with everything he has in him. I think I don't think he could have delivered a better vocal if he tried. The harmonies in the chorus. What can I say? It's just phenomenal, amazing. I love the breakdown before the solo. The solo is like a frantic mess. Sammy screaming his lungs out, but it's magical. It's amazing. With another massive stage like cock rock type ending, I gave it 9.5 out of 10. This song used to be my favorite song on the record when I was younger. An aspiring guitar player to be. Obviously, I loved hearing all the guitar playing in it, but I'm more of a song guy these days, but still 9.5 out of 10.
Okay, you guys are going to be probably a little bit disappointed because it's not one of my favourite songs. It's frantic, and I appreciate the fact that it's an aspect for Alex Van Halen to shine, but I do like the live version better. I've got to say the live versions of this song far better than the studio version. It's a 7 out of 10 for me. It's just I just feel that it's trying to push and do something too much, and and I'm just it's not a skip, but it's not one of my favourite songs that Van Halen have done. So I'll just leave it at that before the Reverend gives me a bit of grief.
What did you rate it, Andrew?
7.
Okay, that's fair. Because I can see that it's. I gave it 9.5 because it used to be my favourite, but like I said, I'm more of a song guy, which we're going to get into it in a sec. So, I can understand 7, and I still think that's a fair score for the song. Yeah.
I do like the live version though, because the live version, and it's something that I mentioned before in other shows with you guys. I think if you look at some of the songs that these guys or some of the bands that we're talking about, when you see them live on a video performing, it gives you a different perspective of a song. And some songs sound better live, and some songs sound horrible when they're live. But I like the live version better than the studio version.
Yeah, I understand that. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Alan Garber's still on the show, but I wonder if Eddie used the slide on that song. It almost sounds like he did.
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
No, I don't know, but it almost sounds like he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Johnny. If Johnny's still in here, or Alan Garber, they might know, or anyone in the chat might know.
So we're up to, what are we up to, Kurt?
I think we're up to Guru's Collectibles, maybe, or
yeah. Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on. We're getting there. Sack this bloody person working behind the scenes. Hold on.
Where's the producer?
Yeah, we need a producer. Anyone want the job? We're paying nothing.
You get sweet FA for it.
There's Well, you get to push a couple of buttons. So hold on, here it is.
And now it's time for Guru's Collectibles.
I love it.
All right. Couple things I wanted to show. As you guys know, 2 weeks ago, I unpackaged my pick guard for my VH1 Eruption guitar, and this is it right here. So if you notice, it's straight on to the bridge, which isn't correct to what Eddie had. And then also, if you notice, there's like a white accent along the outside, which isn't correct. And I think Eddie took a regular pick guard or maybe a plastic rubbish can and cut it up with as Rob Johnson would say, with a butter knife, but I think he used scissors. So with me, I wanted to get a little bit more correct to the original guitar. So here is the pick guard added to the guitar. And as you see, I got now the slanted pickup in here. And I actually had to route out a section of the body because this body had a humbucker route, but it didn't allow it to be slanted in the pick guard. So routed it out so the pickup fit. And then I added the additional hole here that Eddie probably had a tone pot of some sort originally, and then covered it up with tape. And then I got the lone volume knob that says tone. So now the guitar is a little bit more correct to the era. And I put some stuff in the Discord. After I slanted this pickup, I do have a new pickup coming for this. Not here yet. The 78 Pasadena Planet Tone. But this JB, it actually sounded different with it slanted. And as you guys know, guitar players, as you get further up the neck, the treble increases on your strings, and when you slant it, it just gives I guess these three lower strings, it just gives it a little bit different sound. So that's the VH1 Eruption with the new pick guard. So pretty happy with it.
Beautiful.
And then I got a package in the mail. As you can see, it's in Japanese writing, so we can't read it. Someone in the chat can read Japanese, so we're going to open her up real quick.
Let us know when you can be our official translator.
Not sure if anyone has any player magazines or have seen them, but these are pretty similar to the Guitar Man magazines made by I think a different company, but this is their December 2020 Eddie Van Halen tribute edition. So real quick, we won't go a ton into it, but Andrew, I know you love Gibsons. Look at that bad boy. Like, really thick poster.
Wow.
And Brad, one of the things about these Japanese magazines is they really take attention to detail when they take pictures of the artist's equipment. That's one of the things in the United States that they just don't really do. When they go backstage to feature the band, they actually spend a lot of time on their actual guitars. And in the United States, I don't even think anyone takes any pictures back of a guitar because no one really cares what's in the back. But those of us who redo these guitars, this stuff's really important to us. So some of these guitars before the internet were very important. And there you goes the 5150, which everyone loves to see pictures of that, right? Kramer double neck and the Kramer tape guitar.
So, Kurt, why don't American magazines take more photographs? Is it just?
I think they're more interested in the content of the interview than the actual equipment they use. I don't know. There's Eddie's tour Stealth that he used on the first tour with David Lee Roth and Different Kind of Truth. There's Brad there playing a Frankie. Here's one of Eddie's PB Wolfgangs that he used 98 and probably 04. That's his Tobacco Burst. That was one of his heavy use PB Wolfgangs.
It was the one that we saw on the 98 tour.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Andrew and I saw that one on tour, the Wolfgang.
Look at that, Andrew.
That's beautiful. Wow.
Isn't that cool how they take a profile of that guitar and then take the time to cut and paste it into the magazine with all the detail?
Unbelievable.
There's the is that the Cloud? Is that what they call that one? That's a Ripley. Oh, the Ripley bowling ball. Excuse me. That's the Ripley bowling ball. This is kind of a cool picture. Eddie live with the Makita drill. Sorry about the glare. Oh man, this is another 5150 picture. Look at that.
Yeah, look at that. Beautiful.
I mean, look at that. Look at the neck on that thing, Brad.
Mm.
He sweated over that. How many gigs? How many gigs would that guitar have played?
Grease it up and turn on the heat.
Yep.
There's the Charvel Star prior to the paint job. There's the B. sorry guys, we'll move on here. Here's the shark, which is always cool. I'm not sure if my boy Cobra Kai is watching, or I'm sure he'll watch it later, but he's a freak when it comes to the shark guitar, and he actually made a timeline of the shark guitar and put it in the Discord. So sometime tonight I'll probably scan these pictures of the shark and send it to him. So he's got some additional pictures of the shark. Oh, this is a great one. Look at that. Look at those two. Happy as clams.
The good old days.
Yeah. There's the Frankie white and black, and then when he painted it red. Look how beat up that pick guard is on the white and black version.
Wow.
So pretty cool magazine. Lots of cool pics. Oh, I'll show this one and then we'll move on. Here's all the covers that Eddie's been on for this Player magazine in Japan.
Beautiful.
He touched a lot of people's lives, right?
Without a doubt, mate. He was the king.
Yeah, he was for sure. So yeah, I'm excited to. I wish I could read Japanese, but I'll be excited to look at that picture pop-up book like a little kid.
Excellent.
Thank you for showing us that. Thank you. I never cease to be amazed by the attention to detail that those Japanese cats do on those magazines. It's phenomenal.
Like, if this is Guitar World from the 80s, I mean, it's just not even close to even being as thick as the other. I mean, this thing's just loaded. So they are expensive, but they're well worth it if for me, I'm looking for every picture I can find of either Eddie or Eddie's gear. And if that means spending $50 on a Japanese guitar, I'll do it.
Awesome.
Thanks for showing us that, Kurt.
Yeah. So we are now up to Dreams, correct?
Yes, we
That's
are.
correct. Yes.
Okay. So as I continue, actually, you know what? Let's let Brad go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, give me a break so I can get some water.
Okay. Well, that makes sense because this is probably, well, for me, this is probably my favorite Van Halen song written ever. So I'll go first. Yeah. This song holds a really big piece of my heart because I fell in love with Van Halen because of this song. So I'd obviously heard 1984 hits before, really liked Jump, Panama, etc. But this song really resonated with me. I was very young. I remember seeing the film clip on MTV and wondering, why there was no clips of the band. Like there was no footage of the band, but the song I could listen to it over and over and over and over and over. I just never got sick of listening to it. Every time I listened to it, the goosebumps would just happen. And it still does to this day every time I listen to it, and listening to live versions of it even more so. I was very young. I remember the melody, the words gave me goosebumps, and the chorus will get higher and higher, leave it all behind. Like, it's something that just makes you feel good about that. And I don't know. The breakdown before the solo is cool. Then the solo kicks back in. It's one of Ed's finest solos. I absolutely love the outro solo as well. I was talking to one of my close friends when Ed passed, and both of us were discussing, we're obviously grieving and stuff, and we're discussing Ed. And we said, what was probably the one thing that you remember the most, or one of the first things that captured you about Ed's playing? And the tapping section at the end of Dreams was still to this day, even though he's done more wilder things on the guitar, is one of those things that just I still can't get out of my head how amazing that is. It's so simple, like the I don't know, there's just something about it, the melody that he's playing. For me, I could go on for days about this, but I'll leave it at that. I fell in love with Van Halen because of this song. It's one of the best written songs of all time for me, for Van Halen. I gave it 20 out of 10. And, I'll put the boxing gloves on and go to the ring with people who don't like this song, because if you don't like it, then there's just something wrong with you, in my opinion. You need to get your pulse checked or something, because how could you not like this song?
Right. Well, Brad, I agree with you. Unfortunately, this wasn't a big hit for the band. A huge hit for live. I think it's one of their most popular live songs that they play in the Sammy era. I think it hit number 22 on the U.S. charts, number 62 on the British charts. Keyboard Intro was a combo of music written by Eddie. And then, of course, to me, if you think about Sammy's lyrics and Eddie's music, like they just met at the top of the mountain and like continued to go up the way I hear it, to me personally. And Sammy talks about when they were writing this song, him and Eddie came up with this saying, "What is understood is not to be discussed," which talks about when you really feel passionate about something, you don't need to discuss it. You just need to go with your gut and run with it. This song really connected the two of them. Listening to some interviews with Sammy, they both looked at each other in the eyes in the middle of recording this song, and they both said to each other, "You inspire me." And Eddie said to Sammy, "No, you inspire me." So I think they really connected when recording this album, but I think this song, they really, really connected. Let's see. I think when I think about the song, it's very magical. You think about Mick Jones, he was coming off that great album with Foreigner. And as Sammy states in his book, and I'm not sure, Brad, if you knew this, I know Andrew does, but he pushed him past his limit. He got him to the point of exhaustion, and Sammy was hyperventilating, and he thought he was going to pass out when they were recording this song. So I think between Eddie and Mick Jones, they really pushed Sammy when they were recording this song. Sammy also talks about Eddie's songwriting ability. I talked a little bit about Eddie's classical music background, but Sammy said Eddie had the ability to write a song that was uplifting. So it was like, da-na-na-na-na-na-na, and the story would just keep climaxing, kind of like you said, Brad. So Sammy had to match the fact that Eddie's music progression was uplifting, and it was a stair-step effect. So he felt like he had to keep taking the song. And if you listen to the song, it goes like this. And you think it can't go higher and higher, and it keeps going higher and higher. Eddie used the synthesizer and a grand piano on this song, as well as, I got a picture of it here, his red Kramer Farrington. So there's a picture of the guitar there, and then that's a picture of the guitar with Wolfie. Probably later on, but that's the Kramer Farrington that he owned. And I don't think Eddie owned a acoustic guitar until he got this Kramer Farrington. He borrowed Ted Templeton's classical guitar when he did Spanish Fly for the first album. There was no official music video for this song, but if you guys remember 1986, Top Gun was huge, one of my favorite movies. I think probably management wanted to compete with Top Gun, so they gave the song rights to the U.S. Navy, and they put together the Blue Angels video, and they played it on MTV. So everyone thinks about this song, they think about the Blue Angels video, which actually wasn't something that Van Halen put together. The actual Navy put it together for a promotional way to recruit people in the Navy. And then, of course, Van Halen adopted it as their video. So for me, this song is a 10 out of a 10. I've seen it live 4 times, and every time Sammy impresses me how he sings it live. If you listen to Live Without a Net, they knock it out of the park. You know, it's that goosebump factor. This song's awesome, and I would love for my daughter to maybe have this song in her wedding. Like, it's an amazing song. I love it.
Oh, look, I
Are
love
you
the song
speechless,
too.
Andrew?
Yeah, I was just thinking about everything that you guys have said. Look, I love the song too. It's phenomenal. I like the fact that you spoke, Kurt, about how Eddie and Sammy were working together on this song and how it is a collaboration, and it was something that Eddie particularly enjoyed, you know, that he hadn't had previous. So it was, and again, I'm sorry to keep going on about it, but I think from a musician's point of view, it just put Eddie into a different place, that he felt comfortable to be able to do this kind of song. And I mean that respectfully, because it's a lovely song. It's a beautiful song. It's a song about, you know, lots of things. And since Eddie's passing, the song will always be different, you know, because Eddie's not here, you know. So, yeah, you know, yeah, it's kind of spiritual in a sense for me. You know, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a 20 out of 10. You know, I love the song. I can't add any more to what you guys have said, other than it's a wonderful collaboration of 2 fine musicians, a beautiful singer and a fantastic musician, you know, who's playing keyboards in a kind of simple way, I think. But it's that simplicity which is beautiful. You know, I think that's one of the great things that Eddie Van Halen has as a musician. You look at him when he plays rhythm guitar, you know, he's not doing much. You know, there's just a little bit going on. Yeah, phenomenal.
I'll be man enough to say that when Eddie passed, I think on day 3, I had went somewhere and pulled into my driveway at my house, and Dreams was on, and I think I listened to Van Halen for almost a week after he passed away. But this was the song that broke me down, and I sat in my truck in my front driveway, you know, 50 feet from here, and bawled like a 4-year-old kid. And as a young 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old listening to this song, I probably didn't really have much emotional attachment to it. But hearing it after Eddie passed, like, man, it really hit me hard. But this was the song that I broke down and started crying probably 3 days after Eddie passed. It took that long for me to finally, like, release all of that. Let's see, I'm 43, so 30 plus years of Guitar Hero, icon, person I was chasing, person I fantasized about, wishing I could be as great as. You know, everyone in my high school and my family thought I was weird because how I didn't have 15, 20 bands that I like. Van Halen was like the only one I talked about. And like, it hit me hard when what song was the one that almost opened the floodgates. Not to get too emotional, but yeah.
Well, Kurt, I just want to say thank you for sharing that with us, because that's one of the great things that we like doing about these shows. It's you know, you can never have enough Van Halen on the internet, and you know, we appreciate that. We're getting some guys in here from the Johnny Bean show saying hi. John B. Thank you, John B, for joining us. Nelson for joining us. Robot Master Switch said something beautiful. Okay, this will sound weird. Dreams makes me want to be a better human being. So if you're a songwriter, you couldn't get much better than someone telling you that.
No.
Robot Master Switch is a great human being. I've never met the guy, but he's a good dude.
Good friend of the channel. He's been a good supporter of the channel. So we're always happy to hang out with the cool cats. And thank you for joining us. And who else have we missed here? John B. John B. Mentioned something in the chat about Tony Rice. Rest in peace, Tony Rice. A bluegrass legend who died in December. Lenny Lou, thank you for joining us. If I missed anyone else, if I've missed anyone else, guys, forgive us. We try to keep the show rolling, but we do appreciate your comments, and we are looking at them, and I do try and throw them all up on the screen too, so just be patient with us.
Nelson Rodriguez, thanks for joining.
Yeah. But, thank you for sharing that with us, Kurt, because I think that song, for me, will always be different now. It's Eddie's song.
Yeah.
Right.
Feel the same way. Like listening to it now retrospectively, that it's gone. It certainly raised even just that first week. Songs like Dreams I couldn't listen to. Even a couple of weeks. Yeah. Took a bit of time to get my head around listening to the ones that I fell in love with, which, Love Walks In and like Dreams, those sort of things. But yeah, I reckon, it's one of those songs that still to this day, when I listen to it, if I think about it, and it's been how many months now since he passed? 3 months?
4 months, yeah.
It's still a bit of a tearjerker, yeah.
Well, with that being said, Summer Nights, very uplifting song. Meet your old boys at the parking lot, checking out all the girls, see what they got.
See what they got.
Looking for that Prime A beef.
Yeah,
And I think everyone knows the story behind this song, it being the first song that Van Halen jammed with Sammy. And Brad, I'm going to let you touch on that if that in your notes. This was another song that Eddie used the GL2T Steinberger on. The Billboard charts, it hit number 33 in the Billboard, but it hit number 1 on the rock charts, which is cool. To me, when I hear this song, it kind of falls in line with like Beautiful Girls, Cabo Wabo, Dirty Movies, Amsterdam. It's kind of that like, get out and party, as Steve Anderson would say, take the boombox to the beach with the beers, and you got the guy that's going to buy you the beers because you're underage. Like, this is the song for me you would listen to.
He's got the man. He's got the man.
I got the guy.
The guy.
If you listen to this is like the guitar seems really processed, and I think this is when Eddie started using the harmonizer a little bit more. The solo on this is incredible with his, the dive bombs with the tremolo bar, the bends, the pull-off harmonics that we had no idea how he did until you watched Live Without a Net. The tapping, and I love the fact that how they use the main riff at the very end of the beginning of the song, and then they use it at the end of the song, which I think Eddie always has a unique way of sequencing songs, and that's one of the reasons why I like him, is because he's unpredictable. You think a song's going to go one way and it goes the other, and it's always a surprise. And that's why I kind of keep going back to what he's put on tape, because it's unorthodox, I guess you would call it, right, Brad?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. To me, this is Van Halen in a can. whether it be a beer can, a pop can, a garbage can, whatever you want to put it in. This is Van Halen in a can. To Brad, this is a 10.5 out of 10.
I like that all the odd scores and everything keep going back to like, that's a Brad thing. That's a Brad thing. I like that. I'll take that.
Well, it's because you're so different, man.
Oh.
You're unique.
I'm glad you acknowledge that, Andrew. Definitely. I agree. I'm different, man.
And real quick, John B. looks like he had to return his Steinberger guitar because he found out the headstock was missing, so he returned it. That's not the only head that was missing.
Oh, that's hilarious. Summer Nights. Yes, I'm pretty sure this was the first song they jammed on, wasn't it? With Sammy. And for me, like, the intro is just sensational. It's mixed. The song's mixed with stylings we're used to with Ed's playing, with some sassier licks and cooler voicings. When the drums kick in after the dive bomb at the intro, it's just like the song takes on a whole new feel with the swing. It's like even a Tad Zeppelin to me, the vibe of the drumming and the feel, the swing, with an 80s edge, if that makes sense.
That's good.
Yeah,
Good,
the bass is really solid. Michael Anthony's locked in with Alex on this one, like tighter than a fish's bum, so to speak. They're just together tight as on this track. And he weaves between Ed's riff and holding that low end down, he was always phenomenal at that. Sammy's singing very soulful on this track, as opposed to, he's just got a nice loose vibe, a beach vibe, summery sort of vibe. The whole Hot Summer Nights, it just makes me think about so many different things in my life where, wind the windows down of your car, open the sunroof and head to the beach for a surf. That every time I hear this song, I think of those days where I used to put my surfboard in the back of my car or on the roof racks and just drive down to the coast. And in New South Wales, Sydney, where I lived at the time, I used to drive down to Wollongong and Thirroul and pull my surfboard out, but I'd be listening to this song with the windows open and the hot air blowing in, and in the evenings it would be the same thing, windows down, cranking this tune, driving along. It just reminds me of that. The breakdown section of this song, the swagger on the drums and bass, Ed's solo, as you mentioned, it's just like whammy bar and squeals. Look, talk about love. That bit there, just coming out towards the out part of the song. Obviously where it stops and it comes back into the intro style again, and the song fades off. And personally, like, I'm wanting the song to keep going. I don't want it to stop. I gave it 10 out of 10, and that song for me it just takes me back to when I got my license and driving along and going surfing and all sorts of things, and the hot summer nights. It's the parties, the drinking, the hanging out with mates, and getting up to no good and that sort of thing. Yeah, and checking out all the girls, see what they've got.
I put in the chat as you were saying that. As I was typing it, you said, I put in the chat, next year we're heading out to the coast. What do you say, boys? I think it might just call for a toast. Totally unscripted.
There you go. Unscripted. It's meant to happen, mate. So 10 out of 10, Andrew. What's your take on this one?
Oh, look, it's a 10 out of 10 too. And Robot Master Switch and Lenny Lou, and again, you guys have mentioned it. That opening riff is just fantastic. It's phenomenal. It's just, after Dreams, and then you'll hook into this song. It's just like, if you had a tear in your eye because of Dreams, you're sort of cranking the stereo system up again, another notch. You're taking it to 13 or 12 or 11 or whatever you can get. Love the song. again, I just want to echo something that Kurt said too. You know, we're wondering how. I'm just looking. So we're wondering how Eddie's doing all this kind of stuff, and it's not until we get Live Without a Net. And I look forward to when we do that show, guys, too. When we talk about that DVD. But you know, we all know the stories, you know, of sitting and rewinding the VHS back, rewinding it to see how he actually does it, and then you actually sit there and realise it is done by a human. Some guy is standing there playing this. It's not some studio wizardry, you know, which kind of was happening at that time, you know. But yeah, it's phenomenal, and I want to echo what John B's saying, and thanks for your comments, John B, in the chat. They're entertaining and amusing. Thanks, we appreciate it. But yeah, if anybody comes to my funeral too and has a sad face, they're in trouble, because the music I've got that's going to be played at my funeral, there's no time for crying.
Right. And John B talks about the wind in his hair, but he's now bald.
Grow a beard.
Uh,
Grow a beard, and you can still feel the wheel, you know, the wind.
yeah, and it'll make a noise like a 68 Volkswagen going 35 down the road.
Ooh, bang! It's never a skip.
Okay. Yeah. I'm glad you guys are all on the same page. It's a great song. So next, it brings us to Best of Both Worlds. Man, oh man, where do I start with this song?
Yep.
Eddie, I guess we'll go technical real quick.
Cool.
Eddie used that 69 Strat that someone gave him, that he carved 5150 in. Let me find it here for you guys real quick. Right here. Sunburst Strat on the bottom there. That's the Strat he used on the rhythm. And then he used the infamous, if I can find it, 5150 on the solo.
Wow.
Kind of cool. If you think about it, Brad and Andrew, now that if you listen to the beginning riff of Best of Both Worlds, you can tell that it's single coil pickups on that song.
Yeah.
This is my absolute favorite Van Halen song ever put on an album. Number one out of 131 songs. This is number one for me.
Wow.
So I'm glad that you guys let me start this show off and showcase this album, because this is the pinnacle of Van Halen for me. I may be a little bit long-winded on this song, but at first, at first Eddie wrote this song on keyboards, and then he put it to guitar, and him and Sammy tried to get lyrics on tape, and Sammy didn't like what Eddie had put on the keyboard for the lyrics, so he gave him the tape. Sammy went home. Sammy got home, and one of the things that he did every night before he went to bed is he would jump in the shower, because his hair would stink of cigarette smoke from Al and Eddie. And Brad, I'm not sure how far in depth you got. Have you read the Red Book, Brad?
When it first came out, I did, a long time ago now.
So, when he would show up, Eddie would go get a beer, and he would bring one for Al. Or Al would grab himself 2 beers, and he would bring one for Eddie. They would both light a cigarette with one match. So like they would both smoke at the same time. If one went to smoke, the other one would smoke. And so like the place was full of cigarette smoke. So one of the things Sammy did is he jumped in the shower because he couldn't cigarette smell before he got into bed. As he's in the shower, he comes up with the lyrical melody to this song. He's not done showering, so he gets out of the shower, half-assed dries himself off, runs and grabs a piece of paper and a pencil, and starts to jot down the lyrics to what he came up with in the shower at 2 a.m, mind you. Okay. And this song, this is a lot of people, probably no one in the chat knows this, but this song is about Sammy's parents and Sammy being a parent. Sammy's dad was an alcoholic, and he left the family and basically was a street bum, and he died underneath a park bench in the hometown that he lived in. And Sammy wrote this song about the best of both worlds, meaning you are the victim of your wife, your mother, and your father. And then Sammy was talking about how his kid was the best of both worlds, being him and his wife. And in the song, he was in Paris, and he was at an art gallery, and he saw a picture of a lady that looked like his mom to him, and he talks about that in the song. So after he gets out of the shower, he jots down some of the lyrics that he had come up with in the shower. The paper was wet. He was having a hard time writing it down, so he finished the shower and then got downstairs in his basement, didn't jump into bed, and he stayed up till 4 a.m. writing the lyrics to Best of Both Worlds. Let's see. I talked about his dad being homeless. So Sammy shows back up to 5150 the next day, and Don Landy and Ed and Al and Mike are all there. And he says, "Hey, Ed, play that riff that you sent me home the tape with. I got some music for it." He started singing, "You got the best of both worlds." And he said everyone in the control booth was jumping up and down, waving their hands up, giving each other a high five, and they knew it was an immediate hit. So if you guys have watched Live Without a Net, or if you've seen these guys live, this is one of the best chemical songs I say they have, because they have that chemistry. But most people thought what this song was about Van Halen having the best of both worlds, meaning they have Sammy now instead of Dave, or it was a religious thing, but it was actually referring to Sammy's upbringing from him and his father, and him and his wife and their son. So for me, 12 out of 10. Never skip, obviously, because it's my favorite song. But yeah, that's Best of Both Worlds to me.
Well, you covered off everything there, and I think we all learnt a little bit, which is amazing. Best of Both Worlds. For me, being an Aussie, I hear a lot of AC/DC in this guitar riff, especially when the drums come in. It's
Sammy
like
says
Van
that.
It's yeah, I remember reading that now, and it's like Van Halen playing AC/DC to me. That's kind of the vibe I get from this song, in a Van Halen way, obviously not in an AC/DC way. I love the verses. I love the lyrics. Mikey solid, holds it down. His BVs are sensational. The chorus is very targeted to stadium rock, in my opinion. As sing-alongs, like they want the crowd to sing along with them, and whether that was intentional or not, it happens. It's how it comes across. Great cheeky sort of solo from Ed, highlights, obviously the reasons we love him so much. After the solo, where it goes back into like a very AC/DC vibe, that's where it really sounds. When Bond's got AC/DC to me, it's got that vibe to me. Anyone who hasn't listened to AC/DC, maybe if you're a Van Halen fan, you'll probably love AC/DC because of that. Great melody and a great written song. Another fade out, which kind of sucks. I want it to keep going and I don't want it to stop. I gave it 10 out of 10, and it's a stadium rocker. You can't not want to sing along to this one. So, Andrew.
Yeah, it's in my top 3 Van Halen songs ever. I just love that intro. You can't You can't beat that intro, and even the melody. It's just that chorus melody is just beautiful, isn't it? I want the best of both worlds. Everybody after hearing that song a couple of times will know and can sing that chorus. It's just fantastic. It's just one of those great songs that Van Halen does, and it's a song that Steve Anderson would play to everybody. It's certainly, if no one had heard of Van Halen, this would be a song that you could play to somebody and say, this represents Van Halen. That's my opinion. It's a classic song. Top 3.
Awesome.
Didn't know anything about what the song was or what the song meant until again, social media and Sammy's book, Fallen Angel in a Gallery. It's again, I had no idea what he was singing about at the time, but it sounded good. It sounded interesting. It sounded cool. But don't you love these songs when you find out more about them, and you've been listening to the song, say, for 20 years or 15 years, and you've got your interpretation of what that song is, and you read what the songwriter actually had in mind, and it's like, oh, wow. That's pretty cool, So you go and listen to it again. So that keeps you listening to it for another 15, 20 years.
I think
Look, I love it.
That's the wonderful thing about, like, the way that a lot of these songs are written, is you can interpret them however you want to, and that can resonate with you in any way, shape, or form, whether it's you're relating it to something in your life. But everyone wants the best of both worlds, so that's how I related it to me when I heard it. It's like, I want the best of both worlds. I want to be happy, I want to have fun, I want to do everything, but I want money, but I want this and I want that, and I want success, but I want this, but so you want the best of both worlds. That's what we say here in Aussie land anyway.
Yeah, you want to be a good human being, you want to be spiritual, you want to have, that kind of side of your life sorted, but you also want to be a man of the world as well, and because it is a material world that we live in, so it's that's what I interpreted the song to be about. For a long time it was, that kind of dichotomy. I never saw it as a contradiction. But yeah, just a fantastic song, and just a good example of how good Sammy Hagar is as a singer. Just phenomenal. What a singer.
Yeah. I had 1,000 things going on this week, and I was trying to put my thumb on the beginning riff. Dun 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 dun. Is that Beach Boys? Like, what is? It reminds me of some song from the 70s, maybe. I always want to say Beach Boys, but I even got on, Apple and tried to listen to some Beach Boys stuff to see where I could find that riff. Maybe it's just the way the track was laid down, that sound. I don't know. What's the first thing that comes to your guys' mind when you hear that riff? I know Brad talked about AC/DC, but it's like a clean, finger plucking. I don't know. For some reason, Beach Boys comes to mind, but
well, you know how he was inspired by Clapton. Is there something that, if you think that you've heard it before, maybe it was something that Cream played, or something that Clapton, Beach Boys?
He's very influenced by AC/DC too.
Yeah, big time.
I hear Malcolm Young's rhythm playing in a lot of his songs, including this one. I'm hearing, like, I can't think of a lot of AC/DC songs have got that sort of energy and that vibe on the guitar, like, and especially the breakdown section where he's rolls the volume back and he's playing, and that's very Malcolm Young, that sort of style. So, but he's playing it in his own way, obviously. So he's not. It's just very heavily influenced by AC/DC. You can hear it. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So, Love walks in. as a child, like this, I say child, 9 years old, like I love this song, and I always thought it was about a woman. So I watched Live Without a Net, and Sammy talks about aliens, and then I watched Live Right Here, Right Now, and he talks about this is a song about abducted by aliens. And then I saw him live, and Sammy says, this is a song about aliens. I dove deep into this, people. In 1968, when Sammy lived in Fontana, California, he was years old, and he had a dream in the middle of the night. And he woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And in his dream, he was in the mountains in a place where he used to camp when he was younger. And they used to go party in the mountains here. And he was sleeping in this house in this dream. And there were some aliens. And they were about 13 miles away. And he was very specific about saying they were 13 miles away, but he could see them as if they were right in front of him. But he knew they were miles away. And they had actually had some sort of a soft cord or a cable hooked up to him. And he said it felt like they were downloading everything that was in his brain. And he woke up and he caught them in the action of them doing whatever they were doing. And when he woke up in the middle of it, he saw these three figures. They were glowing in a silver gown, and he could picture the shape of a body, but he couldn't see their face. And he actually said they were in a vessel or a spaceship. When he woke up, these beings started shouting out a bunch of numbers. And it wasn't our number system that we know of, 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, but it was kind of like that, but it was in a totally different language. And after they shout out the numbers, that wire came off Sammy and went off. And in the song, he talks about a string, right? So as soon as that string was released from his body, there was a huge flash in the room that he was sleeping in, and he couldn't see. It was just blinding, and then all of a sudden it went to dark. And as soon as he woke up, he felt like he had interrupted this transmission of these beings connected to him. Let me see here. He knew that these beings were trying to understand his brain, and he believes that he caught these aliens in the act of either downloading what he had in his brain or they were trying to learn about it. And Sammy started studying aliens after this happened, and he said that people thought he was crazy when he started talking about it. People were saying, no, you're on drugs. What are you talking about? You're crazy. So he almost kept this to himself. And this happened when he was 20 years old. So he started researching aliens. He went and bought a periscope, and he talked to some psychologists, and he started reading books on aliens. And he was very fascinated with the whole process. Let me see here. He said in his room, he could see their shape, but they weren't of shape of a human, but they had the same shape of like an alien. And he felt like they were abducting him and they were studying his brain. This happened at 3 a.m. in the morning. And when they left, it was bang, it was black. And he said he immediately got sick after happened to him. So I've watched 2 interviews with Sammy. He talks a little bit about it in his book, but if you guys would like, I'll send you these videos. One was recent. It was done just in December. And then another one, Cobra Kai, which is another buddy of mine in the Discord, he sent me another video. But if you think about the song, the words to this song, contact, asleep or awake, coming around, you may wake up to find, wait for an opening, and then simply pull the string. You lay on your sanity on the line, right? So he's saying, I was possibly almost abducted by aliens, and people think I'm crazy for saying that happened. So when did Sammy join Van Halen? How old was he? Was he in his 30s?
38, or he was quite old. Yeah, he was 10 years old, about 36, 37, something like that.
Yeah, so 16 years later after this happened, when Eddie played him the riff to Love Walks In, he felt all of this stuff come back, and he felt like he needed to put it on paper and put it on the album to get it out of his system and let loose. And so that's what this song's about. Maybe a little bit non-factual to some of the people in the chat, but for me, Love Walks In's a 10 out of 10. Me personally, I'm not sure if I believe in extraterrestrials, but hearing Sammy talk about it, I respect him for, standing by his word and his experience. And it's kind of cool that he was able to express that in a famous hit. So there you go, Brad. That's that's Reverend Kurt right there for you.
I just want to jump in before Brad gives his discussion on the song. Look, thank you, Kurt, for giving us that rundown. You're spot on with it. It's fantastic, and I think it's an important thing to discuss because if you go digging and deeping, it's a significant experience for Sammy in his life. So, and I'm not making a judgment either, but our show is about giving information as we find it and as we've experienced it over the years, and trying even to make amends for some of the misinformation that might be out there. But thank you, Kurt, especially for that background on that song.
Well, that's background that you gave us, and how I actually listened to the song. Slightly different, but I know the background. But you could put this song in a different context as well. So you could put it in as a love song.
Yep.
And in my eyes, it's another wonderful written song. Lyrically, it could be written about a love of someone that you love, and you're singing to them about your feelings towards them. Just a beautiful melody in the song as well. It's very uplifting. Understated bass and guitars in this song. It's very. The solos are obviously outstanding. Sam is outstanding in this song. His vocal melody is beautiful. His lyrics are beautiful. He's, putting it in the context of a love song, like Steve usually says, you could play this for a woman you're dating or trying to impress. To make they could listen to this song and actually get something out of it.
To make the connection.
That's right. And the solo in this is like goosebump material. Like if you don't get goosebumps listening to this guitar solo, and the outro solo again, it hits. It's almost like someone singing a song. Like it's vocal. It's amazing. And Sammy obviously singing over the top of it as well. It's sort of like two singers. It's like two singers interweaving. So it's pretty amazing. I hear Alex channeling a bit of John Bonham with the triplets in the outro of this song. If you listen to the drums, the triplets. I absolutely love this song. I gave it 10 out of 10. And I'll hand it over to Andrew. He's swaying here. He's listening to it in his headphones, aren't you?
Look, I love the song too. It's a 10 out of 10, some kind of alien. And that background harmony that they've got going so well with Van Halen. What surprises me about the song is that when you first listen to it, and even now, 30-odd years later, it's not a Van Halen song, is it? But clearly it is, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I remember listening to the song going, what is this song? And then you can hear, parts of it that bring you back to Van Halen. I didn't know anything about the alien stuff until years later. Had no idea, when they were talking about it during Live Without a Net, had no idea what what he meant. Just thought it was jumping on the board bandwagon with everyone else. But it wasn't until the advent of social media that gives you some in depth that actually the guy actually this is something that he thinks happened to him. So yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I put in Johnny Bean's Discord, and then I just put it on our 5150 thread on Instagram. If you guys want to watch the interview he did in December, pretty much,
Yeah.
my story coming out of Sammy's mouth.
Yeah. And I look, all credit to you for bringing it up. But I want to echo what Brad said too. It's a love song. Yeah. Some love comes.
To me, it's a love song.
Yeah.
It is.
You see that. Yeah, it's just fantastic. It's never a skip.
Yeah, I mean the lyric that always gets me, and I'll read it out because it always gives me, feelings of like that when you're deeply in love with someone. So when you sense a change, nothing feels the same. All your dreams are strange. Love comes walking in. Some kind of alien. I mean, it talks about alien, but you put the love like an alien. That's how I always used to sing that song. So I love that lyric.
Yeah, I think Sammy's smart. He doesn't want people to think he's some crazy loon. He actually turned this crazy whatever experience he had in life, and he turned it into a rock and roll love ballad. Who does that? That's like genius.
I think that's one of the great things about what we do here, Kurt and Brad, is that we take these guys at their word. Sammy's come out and said that, so we can't contradict that. That's what he said. So we'll just say, yep, fine. Yeah.
Cool. Well, 5150 is next.
Yeah.
Do they call this a deep cut? Everyone calls 5150 a deep cut.
I don't.
Nor do I, and I just can't understand that, because when I was doing some research for the show, I come across a couple of YouTube channels that were saying that it is, and I'm going, no, I don't get it. Maybe Love, the song that we've just discussed, might be a deep cut for a lot of people, and Get Up might be a deep cut, but 5150 a deep cut?
Yeah, like I told you guys, Best of Both Worlds was my number one song. 5150 is in my top 5. I love the super long intro. It's like, I don't want to use the word a teaser, but it's almost a teaser. Like you're just waiting for something to happen, and it's like the anticipation is awesome. To me, I'm assuming this song was probably either an instrumental or was something that Eddie and Alex put together, not thinking about putting lyrics to it. I know they struggle with even naming the song, but it keeps you on edge all the time. Eddie was in New York for the MTV Music Awards, and they were getting ready to announce the fact that Sammy was going to be the next lead singer of their band. And the night they got there, Eddie called Sammy at 4 o'clock in the morning in the hotel room, and Sammy picks up the phone, and it's Eddie. He thought it was an emergency, and he's like, "Hey, man, check out this riff." And he starts playing the riff acoustically on his guitar with no amp. And Sammy's like, "Holy shit, this is amazing. Come down to my room." So 4 o'clock in the morning, Eddie shows up in Sammy's room, and they write the lyrics to the song. The rhythm on this song, along with Sammy's lyrics, is just like a perfect pair. When actually Eddie and Sammy were in the hotel room laying down the lyrics for this song, Sammy talks about how Eddie has a weird rhythm and it's hard to keep up with because it's not standard. And Eddie said, if I tap on your foot as I'm playing, will that help you with the rhythm? And Sammy says, yeah. So as Eddie's playing the song, he's tapping his left foot on the top of Sammy's foot so he can keep up with him. How cool is that? It was Sammy's idea to name the song 5150, and has nothing to do with the lyrics of the song. But of course, this version of Live Without a Net, diehard Van Halen fans say this is the best solo that Eddie's ever done live is on this song, which I think is really cool because it's completely different from the album version. Definitely a top 5 Van Halen song for me. I already talked about it's kind of a deep cut, kind of like The Dream Is Over off For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. That's another one of my favorites, which to me isn't a deep cut. It's just a hit that not a lot of people know about. In a Simple Rhyme and Secrets, this 5150 kind of falls in that same realm of those songs to me. Eddie recorded this on a 1957. Let me get my magazine out here real quick. Fender Stratocaster, but this thing actually had a Telecaster neck on it. So if you can see it right there, that's what he recorded the rhythm track with. And then, of course, like some of the other songs, he used the 5150 with the lead and soloing. So for me, sorry, John B. I know 11.5 out of 10 probably isn't mathematically possible, but to me, this song is 11.5 out of 10.
You're the boss. You can make any rules you want.
Well, thank you. I think, and it's here. My note says he also used the Flying V on this song as well. So it looks like he used
really?
3 different guitars on this song.
Wow.
Which it's crazy how that Flying V keeps coming back. Like I think he loved that thing.
Yeah.
Probably has a slightly different tonality to the Fender and the 5150 that sort of just works together, because if you use guitars that are all very similar, it just all gets muddy. So using like 2 or 3 different types of guitars keeps it the spread there because of the frequencies. But that's just from, recording experience that I've picked up that I know of. I don't know why Ed would. Maybe that's why I'm bringing it up. So
yeah, I think you're right, Brad. If I think about the song now, he probably used that Stratocaster in the beginning. And I think, is it drop D? I think it's drop D. And then he probably used the Flying V for the lead and then the Kramer with the tremolo bar for the solo.
Yeah.
It's all you.
Well, 5150, that great guitar intro, there is a sense of urgency there. I wrote that down. It kind of makes you sort of anticipate and want more. It's like there's a bit of urgency there. When the drums kick in, it sort of gives you a whole new vibe again. I put here a nice instrumental intro till the verse where it changes completely. It's got that sleazy vibe on the riff then. Maybe it was meant to be an instrumental. We don't know, but I'm glad it's not. I'm glad that they went with, if that was the case, I'm glad they went with the vocal melodies, because the vocals are great. The melody's really catchy. The pre-chorus where it kicks up a notch and the BVs to me are really Beatle-like. I can hear that sort of, the harmonies there. They got the very Beatle-type harmonies that they always used to go for, I think, with Van Halen. They always went with that. If you listen to those, take you halfway, and then got the harmony sort of carrying on, which is very Beatle-like to me. The Beatles I'm talking about. Yeah, catchy chorus. Love how the lead back into the verse. Solo takes on a whole new vibe again. There's obviously lots of Eddie goodness and techniques in the solo that we all love so much. Another fade out, that bit where it's going, I'll meet you halfway, and you don't want it to stop. You don't want it to stop though. It's kind of like, why are you fading out? But So yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. 5150 is right up there for me as well. My tastes change regularly, which I've noted in earlier things. But yeah, listening to this album again over and over and over, like I have not got sick of it. And the songs that wouldn't rate as high as I've rated them now, like before I actually had to go through to analysing the tracks, like they're always very high for me, but I've rated them even higher than I originally thought they were because it's such a great record. And each song on it is amazing. So this one really finishes off the great run of songs for me. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, look, I agree.
Yeah, and real quick,
I agree,
Andrew.
yeah. Yep.
Sorry, the climax of Sammy in this song, like he takes his octave to a whole nother level, which is incredible on the album version.
Well, that's right, because I will half the way. So he's always, we'll get you half the way. Yeah, it's just phenomenal. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's masterpiece.
Just before you start, Andrew, make sure, guys, you go and have a listen to those pre-chorus harmonies.
Yeah.
Look, very much like you could just say that that's straight out of a Beatles song.
Yeah. The Beatles did it all the time, right through their career. I was listening to this morning when I was mucking around doing some bits and pieces. I was listening to Rubber Soul, and the Rubber Soul, they do that all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah. So they obviously love the Beatles, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. I love the song, always have, always will. It's just it's a masterpiece. The singing especially, and the guitaring's phenomenal. Drop D, and it's one of those difficult songs because if you ever tried to play it before the advent of YouTube, you never got it right. It was always one of those songs that sounded okay if someone would show you something. Oh yeah, and you'd patch something together. I love the song, but I'm glad that Kurt mentioned again Live Without a Net, because I look forward to us talking about that DVD or VHS, depending on your vintage.
Laserdisc.
Because that version, is it better? Is it better than it could be. Could be better than the version that's on this album. So, and that's saying something. Masterpiece of a song. Love it. And I get what you guys have just said too on your conclusion of this song. That's the end of the run, the masterpieces. I hand it over to you, Kurt.
Oh man, I feel like I'm at the chopping block, or the score is tied and there's 2 outs and I'm up to bat.
Well, you can be honest. It's all right.
All right.
It's okay.
I'm going to give this 3 out of 10 because there is a pretty badass Eddie Van Halen riff in this song. I haven't looked it up, but they say there's a transcribe to all the words that are put into this montage deal. But man alive, this is a skippable song for me. And I think there's only 3 Van Halen songs that are skippable for me in my whole, I guess, Van Halen life. I do not understand why they didn't throw in I Want Some Action. Yeah. So those of you guys who haven't heard I Want Some Action or don't know what the song is, please get on YouTube and go into the 5150 unreleased version and listen to I Want Some Action. Part of that song, Sammy put lyrics to. Eddie used it with Steve Lukather with Twist a Knife. He also used it in Stompin' H, and a little bit of it is with Sucker and a 3-piece. Of course, Eddie is notorious for piecing like riffs together to make songs, but all in all, I think they should have skipped this song and they should have put I Want Some Action instead. And this album, probably would have been better than it is now, which is hard to say because it's my absolute favorite album ever. But I really don't have much to say about the song because they're kind of bagging on Dave, and I'm not really about the, smack talk. So it's funny, and it was kind of cool to hear, Michael Anthony laugh, and you get to hear, I think for a lot of people, this is the first time they ever heard Eddie speak or talk and, on an album. But for me, it's skippable. I give it a 3 out of 10. I'll be honest, when I used to listen to this song on tape, I would immediately flip the tape over and rewind it and get it to good enough and start over. I really didn't listen to this song very much.
All right, so it's my turn on the chopping block.
Yep.
I just took one on the shoulder.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, you didn't get timed out, so that's okay.
No timeouts. We need to do a video for that. No timeouts.
No timeouts. For me, Inside, it's a cheeky party vibe sort of thing. You can hear like the banter in the bands as they're talking. I kind of really like the way the guitar kicks in, when they goes, when they look, for me, it's borderline skip. It's definitely something I wouldn't play for someone to, have a good listen to Van Halen. I'm not sure whether it was just a jam they were having and they just threw it on the album as a, to finish the album off as on a different note. Maybe they wanted to put something not so serious on there or something. I don't know. The solo's got some tapping and whammy sort of bar frenzy and squeezing some notes out there and things like that. But I gave it a 5 out of 10, and it's skip for me half the time. So yeah, I'm giving it a 5 because it's Van Halen and it does have a few little good points in. I like the little guitar bit at the start where Eddie comes in and playing guitar, and I do like the solo. I kind of like the groove on the bass, to be honest with you. I like that, but overall, it's borderline skip or skip for me. 5 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a 5 out of 10 for me. It's always a skip, and the only redeemable thing about the song, Brad, as you've said, is the bass, and the only reason why they included the song is because it's a crack at David Lee Roth, and, Kurt's already mentioned, they had other songs that it could have gone on the album, so, the band decided they wanted to have a crack at someone, and clearly that was more important, than putting a better song on.
Yeah.
I did exactly what Kurt did. I would turn the tape over and replay it back to side 1, 2.
Yeah, not a great way to end the album, but
No,
it is what it is, and definitely maybe they should have put want some action on there. But look, overall, I've got to say it's one masterpiece of an album.
Oh,
yeah, and you got to think they were up against the clock. They had their tour booked already, and I want to say they finished the album like 3 weeks before they went live on tour, and they literally threw that thing to the pressing, and it was the last minute thing. So I almost wonder if Inside was kind of a throwaway to get it there, and maybe there was some stuff with I Want Some Action that they didn't have time to sharpen up, and so they just threw Inside in there because you can put it in there raw and you don't have to mix it or do anything to it. But yeah, I mean, 3 weeks. They finished it 3 weeks before they went on tour.
No, Kurt, they wanted to have a crack at David Lee Roth, I reckon.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably right. Probably both.
Yeah. And then obviously the album goes on to be their first #1 album.
Yeah.
And then every other album that they did with Sammy all went
4
to
in a
the
row.
same status. 4 in a row. What an achievement.
Mm. Yes.
Could have been 5 in a row if Thriller didn't come out.
Yeah.
I totally believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what an album that is, or was,
Yeah.
or is. Yeah. Hey, so where does 5150 sit with you guys then in your Van Halen categories? So obviously with Kurt, it's #1.
Yeah.
What about you, Brad? Is it in your top 3? Is it in your top 5? Albums? Are you willing to give us an indication before we go through and do all the albums?
Are you okay opening your closet and really showing us what you got in there?
Yeah, I am. We're being honest on this show. Look, for me, after listening to these records, and I know the same thing's going to happen as we start going through 1984 and we go backwards to Van Halen 1. I love the Roth era for a different reason.
Me too.
I love the Sammy era for a different reason. And I got to give credit to Wolf how he won't pick the best album out of across the board. He designates it out of an era. So the Van Hagar era as opposed to the David Lee Roth era. So out of the respective, I don't want to upset people and things like that. This album, still for me, Carnal Knowledge, then 5150 straight after it. Like I reckon I could put them on par. Carnal
Me
Knowledge,
too.
still a strong album. Then it would be Balance and OU812 after that.
Yep.
That's it for me. But I won't put it up against the David Lee Roth stuff. I think I'll be respectful there and do the Roth era, rate that separately.
Yeah, I'm glad you've decided to do that too, because that's something that I will do too. But I got to agree with you. I think this and Carnal Knowledge, and then Balance. Oh God! Oh no! I can't make a decision. Now you got me.
I do tend to change my mind a bit after listening to things over and over too, and sometimes it depends on what mood I'm in. But for the majority, I'd say Carnal Knowledge 5150 pretty much on par. Carnal Knowledge just edges it a bit more because I'm into the darker vibe of Van Halen, and that has a very dark, overall vibe to it. But I do love this record. It's it's got the song on there that I fell in love with Van Halen. I fell in love with Van Halen for Dreams. So it's a big album for me, and it does remind me of being, my first year of high school. It's got that vibe. So
well, I'm glad you guys did it that way, because I don't necessarily like comparing the Van Halen with Hagar versus the Van Halen with David Lee Roth, because they are different, and I love them both.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's almost not fair to compare them. They're totally different eras. But for me, it's 5150. Man, Brad, it's a squeak on Balanced, and then for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, and then OU2. I mean, that's depending on the month, for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge would be my second. It's that close.
Yep.
Yeah, even going chronologically is okay. If I'm in that mood, I'm happy to go. To start off with this album and go, follow that whole sequence that they were released. because they're all masterpieces. But I'm glad that we've decided, and we haven't discussed this off air, you guys in the chat that are watching, but I think it just goes to show the seriousness of the topic. I think you can't compare the two eras of Van Halen. They're uncomparable because one version of the band started in the 70s. It's almost like comparing Van Halen 1 and Van Halen 2 with 1984. They're just about incomparable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like trying to compare a car.
And that's the same band.
Mm. Yeah. And it's just, it's bands evolve, musicians evolve. They write songs differently as they evolve. And Sammy brought a different chemistry to the band. So it's almost like a new band to me in a sense. But, I've never understood knocking eras or whatever, because I've never understood that. It's kind of, to me, it's still Eddie on guitar, still writing all the songs, writing all the music. And that's why I love Van Halen, is because of the music and there's some, obviously, for me, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to, I'm just being honest. I think it's better to leave them separated than to try and compare the two, because we're not here to cause that sort of negative energy between Sammy, David. Like it's still Van Halen, but it's like two different bands in a sense. Yeah, new singer.
Yeah.
It's like AC/DC and like Bon Scott era and Brian Johnson. Like the two eras. It's still AC/DC to me. It's just Bon Scott passed on and they got a new singer and they moved on with their most successful album. It's similar sort of vibe, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm Van Halen with Sammy Hagar fan. That's by a nose. That's the version of the band that I love by a nose. If you guys are into horse racing or dog racing, it means just a nose in front. And I made that clear when we first started doing these shows, guys. That's my heart. But I love 84. I love Fair Warning. And I just want to echo what you said, Brad. How can you not love? Yeah. I don't get it. And Kurt is in the same boat too. We've spoken about this off air, guys, haven't we? I think we're one of those groups of Van Halen fans that love all the eras. So, and I'm happy to keep that badge and wear that badge. I'll wear it with honor. Rest in peace, EVH.
Exactly. It's all about the music. It's about the band, and it's about the what they did. I mean, look, I fell in love with Van Halen, but of that Sammy era, but I went backwards and I fell in love with the earlier records just as much for a different reason, though.
Yep, and I look forward to those shows because those reasons will come out, guys, and the cats in the chat will join us too and give us the reasons why, because it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe, isn't it? That Van Halen with David Lee Roth's, it's a different animal, isn't it?
Completely.
Oh, yeah. Van Halen 1 and Van Halen 2 are in my top 5.
Yeah.
That tells you anything.
Well, Van Halen 1, Genesis.
Yep.
Fair Warning.
Yeah. And Diver Down. I love Diver Down, guys. I'm probably one of the few Van Halen fans out there that doesn't ditch Diver Down. I love that album. I love it. I listen to the bass on that album. Everyone talks about, Fair Warning being Eddie's album with the guitar work. You look at the bass that comes through on Diver Down, you can hear Michael Anthony playing bass all over those tracks.
Yep. Yeah. Nelson Rodriguez talks about Diver Down, and for me too, it's up there for me. I don't want to get into it, but it's higher than Fair Warning for me.
Yeah, there's a good argument for it too. Yeah, so I look forward to those shows upcoming. So it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, guys, sharing this segment, this part of the Van Halen experience with you guys. We'll be back in a fortnight doing 1984. So who's doing the intro for 1984? Me? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I look forward to that. We'll
The
be on
host, the
same.
producer, and the owner.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, okay. Yeah. I look forward to that album and sharing some experiences on that album because what could have been, what could have happened with that band had David Lee Roth stayed.
Right. Or like I said, if Michael Jackson Thriller wouldn't have came out, that would have been a number one album.
Yeah. And the ego would have been satisfied.
Let that marinate.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to it. I look forward, and you guys in the chat can join us. Now, just to keep you guys in the loop, I'm going live tomorrow with Simon to talk about the Clapton Les Paul that's missing. They reckon they may have found it. Next Sunday, Brad and I and Simon are starting part 1 of Rankin the Tracks on the Beatles' Abbey Road.
Ooh.
Yeah. We were supposed to start that tomorrow, but Brad's going to be in a post-gig mode.
Yeah. I grew up in a Beatles house, believe it or not, boys.
Oh yeah, we love the Beatles.
Yep.
So we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for the 5150 show. We look forward to. Well, hopefully the Rummeister, Luca, if the Rummeister's, he's got some business commitments and he always made it clear that he would be with us when he had time, but he does send out his wishes for, the show to continue, and when he's got time, he'll be back on with Brad, Kurt and myself, but in the meantime, you've just got us 3 to keep you happy.
God help yous.
Oh, look, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you, Kurt. Thank you very much for the introduction. So, which one of you guys wants to go through and say thanks to everybody in the chat before we wind up? I'll leave that to one of you guys.
You can do it, Kurt, because you've probably got the chat open in front of you, do you?
Yeah. All right. So I want to thank Robot Master Switch. Thanks for joining, brother. Blues Guitars and Harmonica. John B. Luca Ferreira. Metal Mike 5150. Ellen, is it Vorshine? Thank you for joining. Johnny Bean, of course. Johnny Bean, the legend Johnny Bean. Thanks for joining, Johnny. Appreciate your support. Lenny Lou, Nelson Rodriguez, and I think that's about it in the chat. Yeah, that's about it in the chat. Thank you very much for contributing, guys. We do our best to answer your comments or questions. Your input and your opinion is important to this show, so keep it up and share the channel, please. My goal is to get Andrew to 1,000 subscribers, and we can't do it just with our faces standing up here a couple times a month spewing our knowledge. We need your guys' help with sharing. Any Van Halen fans or any music fans or anyone passionate about music, or if you want to learn more about Van Halen, this is another option, another channel to get that data and information from, for sure.
Yeah. And you know, the good thing about what we're doing here is that you can never have enough Van Halen on the internet. You know, there's a few channels out there specialising in it, and you know, the British Electric Blues Show is happy to have the 5150 show. You know, Eddie Van Halen passing was a huge blow for all of us because, you know, he was our Jimi Hendrix. He was the guy that inspired, you know, all of us. We're all here. We're all listening to music and playing guitars because of Eddie Van Halen. So, in a way, I'm kind of blessed that I'm in a situation to hang out with Brad and Kurt and the Rummeister and just share some experiences because I'm in awe of Kurt. I'm in awe of Brad and the Rummeister. So I'm just a fanboy hanging out with some guys who know some stuff. So I appreciate it.
We all feel
and John BL, he was on here as well. I guess I didn't see him.
John. Yep.
Poof.
That's Warren. That's Warren there, blues guitar and harmonica.
I can never tell it's Warren, then I remember it's Warren because of the blues, the harmonica bit, the blues guitar and harmonica. That's Warren.
Yeah.
Thanks, Warren. I appreciate your support.
He said a nice comment earlier. He said, if you want a 10.5, if you want a 10.5 out of 10, get Brad's EP. Check out Brad's EP. So if you haven't checked out Brad's music, if you got to the end of this show and you're watching a replay, there's Brad's channel there, his website. And follow him on his social media accounts and you'll be entertained. And Kurt 5150, you can follow Kurt on Instagram. He is a regular contributor to Instagram too, so he would appreciate some followers. And you can keep up with what the channel is doing through those guys, but they're busy doing other stuff. They don't just work for this channel, so you know they'll take you down some other roads as well, some other interesting stuff. Here we go. He's that handsome guy. Yeah.
There you
Awesome.
go. Library. Thanks, Kurt. Thanks, guys.
I got a few of these already downloaded, but I'm gonna get them all tonight. Thanks
for the support, guys, and like everyone in the chat, everyone, and Kurt and Andrew. Thanks for your support. It's you know, it's just good to connect with some, you know, wonderful human beings, you know, or humans becoming, whatever you want to say. You know, we're still becoming humans, so. But yeah, I really appreciate all the support and everyone in the chat that has shown support. Thank you so much. But also share the channel, share the love, get it out there. Let's get this up to 1,000. Obviously, we love doing it just to a minimal amount of people, but we'd love to grow the channel to 1,000 for a lot of reasons. But you know, we'll leave it there and. Organic growth. Let's get it happening.
Yeah. And before we sign off, I'm just going to play this one more time because I just love it. Hold on.
Who's that dude?
So, I don't know, but he's not leaving this channel, is he, Coat? He's, you know, not bad. Not
Good
bad.
gracious me. What a show pony.
Hey, good luck for your gig tonight, brother. Break some legs.
Thank you. I've got to go play that tonight, so God help me. Ed, help me. We have to beat it tonight too.
Mate, I think I really love your humble attitude, but I think you'll be okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, when you listen to the Beat It solo, you might not think so.
Oh, listen to look at some of these comments. You got John B. L saying well done, and John B. typically with his sarcasm, room for improvement. Laugh out loud, not bad. But he's been offering those kind of comments right through the show. Appreciate it, John B. You're a breath of fresh air in the chat, and Luke is impressed.
Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to hand it over to Kurt and then Brad to sign off, and I'm going to say thank you, everyone, for joining us, and it's been a pleasurable 3 hours hanging out with my co-hosts and you guys in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And this is why we're here.
Oh, hold on. Thumbnail. Okay, that's the thumbnail, gentlemen. That's the thumbnail. Okay, all right. You guys are awesome. All right. What's happened to Kurt?
He's gone. He's muted.
You guys there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can hear ya.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Rock on.
Okay, so I'll play the outro video if you guys just hang on. And we're going to wave goodbye. See you guys later. Thank you.